You said a name.
Not my phone in the car.
Oh, okay. Mr. Chair, you ready?
Yep. All right. Good evening and welcome to our special committee, the whole meeting for December 1st, 2025. On December 1st, 2025, we acknowledge that the sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been the site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation, and we're grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We're mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. So I'll call the meeting to order at 5:01 p.m. I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda, moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Miller, that the December 1st, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? That's carried. Any disclosure, pecuniary, or conflict of interest? Councillor Robinson?
Thank you. If discussion takes place regarding the police budget, I will be declaring a conflict because my daughter-in-law is chief.
Great, thank you. Any further conflicts this evening? Seeing none, we don't have any minutes, delegations, or reports tonight, so we'll go right into 9.1 2025 capital project spending update with Director Dauber.
Through the chair and the council, good evening. So I've got two reports here tonight, and I'm going to be approaching them both in the same way. I want to be cognizant of the time and council's time. However, I want to make sure that I get all the information that's relative to council. So I'm going to try and feel the situation on both counts out a little bit. I can talk in great detail about a lot of these items, or I can fly through it fairly quickly. So I will be kind of looking for some kind of sign or some, if council wants me to move along quicker or take a little bit more time, then certainly we'll be able to accommodate that. So first of all, this this first report is coming back to council to talk about 2025 updates, where we're at with the budget, where the projects are, so the council has an understanding of what we're looking at. And some of it will flow into the 2026 budget because some of the projects will defer and flow through to 2026. So why don't I go ahead? I'm just going to touch really, really quickly on each one. If you need more detail, please ask me to slow down. And if you want me to skip and do summaries, then I can certainly do that as well.
Yes, sorry, Councillor McKenna.
Sorry, if there's overarching questions that aren't in detail, do you want those at the end? But wait, you might cover it, whatever.
I might be, but I welcome questions at any time. Okay.
Thank you.
So from fire, we had the project tree saw and vent saw. The purchase has been done. Expecting the invoices in either in the past couple of days or coming up shortly, anticipating that to be on budget. Tanker replacement, that was $200,000 to get started on that. That was deferred, and we'll talk about that in the next report, deferring that to 2026. The drone replacement is done. It came in $490 over budget, which is funded from the development charges. SCBA filling machine, it is also completed, and it came in slightly over budget, $1,801 over budget, but it is complete and it's installed. Fire hose and fit testing machines. The purchases should be complete in Q4 of 2025. They're not done yet, but they have been ordered and they are on their way. Personal protective equipment. This is one that got added during the year with a council resolution, and that was complete. At that time, we didn't know exactly how much it was, so that was an addition to the 25 capital budget that was approved by council. Water rescue equipment is complete, $1,009 over budget. CAD upgrade will come into play in the next report because it's been deferred. There was $60,000 budgeted in 24, 60,000 in 25, and then there's a small additional one that will come in the next report for that project. And you'll see the same thing in police as far as the CAD mapping project. The gas detectors, ammonia products have been delivered and waiting for the installation, and it looks like that project's going to be a little bit below budget. As far as police goes, the annual vehicle replacement came in. It was over by $19,510, which was communicated to the Police Services Board. So they are aware of that cost overrun, and savings and other capital projects are anticipated to offset this capital project, such as the ballistic helmets, which is complete. It came $7,700 under budget. NG 911, that was a transfer, so it was exactly on the $25,000 mark, and that's a transfer into reserves. The CAD mapping is, has been deferred for the most part. Some of the work was done, but it's going to be coming back again in the 26 budget. And the automated license plate readers is complete, and so there is some savings there. So you can see that they did come within budget overall in their capital projects. Is this a good pace for council? I'll just stop and ask through the chair if this is a good pace, or yes?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Expanding the urban forest is a yearly project, and it's complete under budget by $6,400. Abbott and Lombard Welcome Parkette. Phase 2 planning is complete. Walkway upgrades underway and near completion, and it's anticipated that that will come within budget. Goose hazing is also complete, and it came well within budget. Accessibility sign, the project has started, and we're expecting completion in Q4. So we haven't had any invoices yet, but we are expecting that by the end of the year. Splash pad repairs and upgrades, Lower Reach project is complete, and it was complete under budget, as well as the aluminum bleachers in various locations around the town. Trailhead wayfinding design, 2026 capital budget. This project didn't go through, and it was a $25,000 budget. And you'll see in the next report that we've had some plans for that fund. Picnic shelters and rockers at Alexander Park. Project is complete. More invoices are expected. However, we are expecting it to be within budget. Park groomer project is complete, and it's under budget. Walkway upgrades, various parks around the town, and it was completed, and it was just within budget, just a hair under budget. Bellamy Farms Playground. This is leading to a 2026 project for construction. There were some expenses in 2025, and you'll see that it comes back to finish that off in 26. Cat Trailhead project budgeted at $45,000 back in 2024. And it is complete and under budget. There was a formula error in there. It shows it as a negative number as if it's over budget. My apologies for that, but it didn't capture the funds that were allocated to that in 2024. So it is within budget. Geotech and design at Laurel Reach Park. The project is underway, just slightly over budget. New performance stage at Laurel Reach Park. Project is complete and under budget by $2,200. And the Lower Reach parking lot, there were some expenses. It's really to do with the design, but you'll see that coming back and completing in 2026. And then the pedestrian bridge footing repair, that hasn't been started yet. Just waiting from some assistance for Public Works on that project. As far as facilities go, the furnace at the Kinsman project is complete within budget. The ice resurfacer project is complete. There is one final invoice that's expected that we don't believe has hit the books yet, with $5,000 of room for that. Table and chairs at the youth arena, it is finished. It came $1,500 over budget. Town hall complex roof tender was issued, awaiting bids, and project anticipated to be complete in 2026. There was a furnace replacement at Town Hall, which is complete, and it was $60 over budget. Visitor Center upgrades at Victoria Park. An additional $50,000 was provided by council. It was originally a $20,000 project. The $50,000 brought it up to $70,000 in total. And it is complete, $8,000 under budget. Water infrastructure, which is the new well at the cemetery, it's 95% complete. Currently, there's a remaining $3,500. It's anticipated that last invoice is going to be about $1,000, so it should be within budget. The chiller originally had been the youth arena and changed over to the chiller project is complete, and it's under budget by just under $8,000. Youth arena feasibility study that was completed just a little bit over budget, and we'll be talking about that again in the next report. Replacement air handling unit at the arena project is underway. Expected completion coming up. It's going to be one of these projects that we may have some expenses in 25 and then the final expenses in 26. So it'll straddle a couple of years. The cemetery software, the project was started. I know they were reviewing the different pieces of software, and no decision has been made as of yet. So that will carry forward a little while longer. Wall-mounted garage door openers at the fire hall, completed within budget, $1,300 under. Building condition assessment, and that is complete. The project is underway. We are expecting some more expenses. However, we are anticipating that it will come in budget, and we'll be having a report to council to bring the results of that and try to reflect that within the 26 budget. The Memorial Center roof repair. We'll be talking about that again in the next report. There is a yearly contribution for repairs to the roof, but it didn't get started in 2025. Both the museum's exterior painting and interior painting projects were deferred, and they'll be coming back in 2026. Accessibility buttons at Thurber Street. Project is underway, and it's anticipated that it'll be done by the end of the year. No expenses have been received at this point. The doors at the community center project is underway, and it's anticipated to be completed. Sorry, it says fall 2025. It should say winter of 2025. So my apologies for that. Public Works Operations Center design, the project has been started. As we all know, that is changed course, and that will be coming forward in the 2026 budget. But the work on the design is not complete as of yet due to the nature of that project and how it's proceeding. So we'll have more information on that for 2026. Now, this one, boiler replacement, it is complete. It was complete in 24. It did not complete over budget by $18,000. What that was is there was a mix-up in the GL code that was given to the staff. So there was two different projects that got coded to the same. There was a $20,000 project from 2024 to do with the baffles of the arena. That's where that extra money was actually due. So we'll adjust that out. But both projects are complete, and they both completed slightly under budget. The museum tile drainage project is complete under budget. A lot of the work had been done with staff as opposed to using a contractor. The accessibility upgrade to the washrooms, the project is complete, a little bit over budget. Library renovations, accumulation of the years that were work was put into it. There was a change where the painting budget, as you can see, it's kind of stroked out there, the $20,000 that was included within the construction. And then the project is complete, a little hair under budget. Front door replacement project is complete. That was actually a carry forward for 2024 and a formula error that was not over budget. It was within budget. The painting at the library, that was the one that was incorporated into the construction while the people were here doing the construction. They did it and tied it in, and it got coded into the same GL. And the kitchen installation is still waiting on electrical quote the last time that I spoke to the people at the library. So I think that project, we'll see if it carries over into 2026 or if it's going to be completed in 25. We're unsure at this point. As everybody knows, the water tower is up and running. We're expecting some more invoices to come in, and we'll talk about that as far as the operating budget goes and how that's affected by debentures to pay for that. Trunk main water tower phase. Now, there was 5,000 budgeted in 25, 5,000 budgeted in 24, carry forward 5,000 in 25, and then there'll be 5,000 budgeted in 26. We do have some expenses in there. Really, it's for the design stages. Of course, only $35,000. We're not anticipating this is going to be the end of the project, of course, because it hasn't actually been started yet, but we will be talking about that for the 2026 budget. But council did approve $5 million in 24 and $5 million in 25, and that'll carry forward for the full project. The SCADA upgrade at the water plant is computers are installed, testing is ongoing, and they're expecting another invoice or two to come in, but it's anticipated that'll come within budget. The filter GAC top-up project completed in 2024. No further work or invoicing is necessary. The water financial plan, of course, came to council last week. It is complete. We haven't received the invoice as of yet, but we don't anticipate that it'll go over budget. Water meter replacement, the work is just starting, and there's when this was passed in 2025, it was anticipated that that project was being split in half in 25 and then half in 26. So we'll talk about that for the upcoming capital. And the Parks Canada Water Service is completed. Part of it was completed in Hess by operations, so there was a fairly significant savings in that project. We're about halfway through, and I just want to make sure with council that we're still there and we're still okay to keep going, or if you'd like me to skip and summarize quicker. We good?
Please.
Okay, thanks. Watts backflow prevention testing kit. The kit has been ordered, so we haven't received any invoices of yet, but we are expecting it to be done by the end of the year. Water hydraulic modeling, it's in the planning stages, and it's being completed by an engineer. At this point, I'm not sure if we're going to finish that project in 25, but it's possible we may carry forward to 26. Chlorine analyzer. It was purchased, it hasn't been installed yet, and it should be completed by the end of the year. There's still a little bit of room in there for $2,900 for the installation. The air flotation device equipment has been ordered, and it should be shipping in the coming weeks. So we expect that to finish off by the end of the year. Replacement of the last two sections of high lift piping. It's at the quote stage, and procurement disclosure form will be provided to the CIO as per the procurement policy within budget. High lift pump, it was project is ongoing. It's a little bit over budget at this point, but I think there's more information coming forward for the 26 budget for that. Diesel fuel system, there was flagged deficiencies in it. I was instructed to remove this project, and we'll be dealing with it in 26. SCBA, reflective of two pieces, $36,000 purchased and on-site, and invoices will come. So we should see that invoices filling that project up by the end of the year. Process control narrative and operational plan. It's awaiting the completion of the SCADA. So the SCADA system has to be done in order to complete this portion of the project. They work hand in hand. So once the SCADA project is complete, then we should see some numbers pop in for that. Primary and secondary gates project is complete, and it's awaiting the final billing with $278,000 still available on the project. The SCADA upgrade, so we talked about SCADA before in the water system, but there's also the SCADA system on the wastewater side, and that project is ongoing. Sewage lift pump project is complete, and the pump has been put into service, just a hair under budget. The Sulzer blower project is complete. New unit has been installed since May, and it's under budget. Pelletizer solid handling engineering study. The project is ongoing, and it's currently at the TM3 stage. I'm not exactly sure what the TM3 stage is.
Technical memorandum 3,
Okay.
and preparing a presentation for council.
Okay, so more information will be coming forward to council from the utilities department. Sewer hydraulic capacity study is developed. It's in the RFP proposal stage at this point. The manhole replacement at River and Elm Street survey is complete, and now it's waiting for the design to be done. That project may possibly run over into 2026. The sewer camera is purchased and in service under budget. Pump replacement at the OPP station purchased and will be installed shortly when the inspection and cleaning is performed at the stations. Pollution prevention control, it's in the pricing stage. So this is one that may possibly flow into 2026. Diesel emergency backup fuel system, it's completed, no deficiencies, it's passed inspection, and it's under budget. Secondary weirs and wear strips is final invoice has been submitted. It came in over budget, $9,900. High pressure effluent pump rebuild. The pump, the work was done on it, but after the inspection, the pump is beyond repair. So there will be a project coming forward in 2026 for a complete overhaul of that pump. Sewer lining, it's in the engineering stage and currently ongoing. Process control narrative and operational plan. This, as with the water project, it has to wait for the SCADA to be installed and completely finished before it starts. Tree removal and perimeter fencing. I'm sorry, I lost the, for some reason, Excel collapsed in there. So I'm anticipating what it's saying is that the project is complete and we're just awaiting the final bills.
What's that, sorry?
The tree removal and perimeter fencing for wastewater?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Public Works, engineering fees. Again, the line collapsed. I believe that that is for not the ACMP program. I'm sorry, let me open up my computer and find
Oh, I
out
think
where
it's
that
the
line-
Confed Bridge.
It's the Confed Bridge, thank you. So we all know where the Confed Bridge is, project's near completion. However, I believe some of the work's being deferred to the spring. And there's still $520,000 available in that project. ACMP, there's a little bit of electrical work that should be done in November, and then sod replacement. At this point, there's still an budget amount of $185,000 left. RTK unit, and it's purchased as operation by engineering staff and students. That's the GPS unit?
ACMP.
I'm sorry?
I think
No,
that's-
the below the ACMP is the RTK unit, and that's like a GPS locator. It looks like a Frisbee on a stick.
It's just that the lines, you're right, the section collapsed.
The lines collapse, you're right.
Yeah, so I read on the left is ACMP, so I go down one line
Okay,
in the note, right?
okay, sorry about that, my apologies.
No, it's fine. I got it.
Okay,
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just me. Am I correct?
I
So under the asset
you're,
management plan, I'm assuming that's
yeah, I think you are correct.
purchased and is in operation daily by engineering staff and students?
Yes,
No, that's the RTK.
that's the RTK,
So
yeah.
I'm confused.
The ACMP program still has $185,000 left, and it's just some electrical work that needs to be finished for the ACMP.
And that's,
Asphalt, concrete.
Yes, sorry, asphalt, concrete, milling, and paving.
great, thank you.
Okay, sorry, my
No,
confusion there
that's
for
me.
not grabbing it.
That's me, Director.
Traffic controllers around the town. Installation is complete. Invoices expected, and it's expected to be within budget by the end of 2025. Crossings at Old Slides, Abbott Street, and Queen Street. They're waiting for the manufacturer to supply the components. The poles are installed, and I believe this is one where staff is completing a fair amount of the work on their own.
I'm happy to say that we have had some updates since this information was provided in the notes from October 31st. Those projects are complete. The 3 PXO locations that we're doing around town, 100% complete on that project.
And within budget?
Within budget.
Thank you. There was a plate packer. It was purchased and received in June. The project is complete and it's $4,500 under budget. Sidewalk plow with attachments has been received. It was received back in May and it was under budget by $47,000. So that's nice, good news to hear. Street sweeper. This was an additional project from the fire at the Public Works building. And it was an addition. There wasn't a budgeted amount for it. It was being paid from the settlement with the insurance company. We're expecting delivery in December. Same with the backhoe. It had been budgeted, and we were looking at replacing it, and it was $240,000. We were able to manage to get this one for $193,000. Its project is complete, and if council remembers, this is one we were looking for some the ability to move fairly quick on it, just due to the uncertainty of the tariffs. So because council gave us permission to move quickly, we ended up coming in at almost $47,000 under budget. So that was a win. The master plan is complete, and it was just a little bit over budget by $284,000. The air compressor for the Public Works garage, it's been put on hold, of course, and we'll deal with that in the future. The stands, weights, and for public events, so that's the barricades, the ability to have the streets blocked off. I know it was used for the motorcycle nights and that sort of thing. That was an addition. It was actually moved over to operating. It was able to be contained within the operating budget. So there's no effect on the reserves for this. And the Beckwith Street new lock and pedestrian structure rehabilitation. $650,000 is what was budgeted. We've received invoicing for $371,000. However, we were successful in the Connecting Link funding, so that our net expense on that project is going to be $80,000. So we're expecting to decrease the requirement from the reserve by $570,000 on that. So that's a real good piece of good news. George Street is ongoing. A lot of the work has been done. And currently, there's still room in the budget for the final invoices, which we'll be chasing down in January to kind of close off the year end. But I believe in that project, they come and do the final paving in the spring.
Happy to report that paving operations were concluded last week on Wednesday and Thursday. So base course was completed Wednesday, top lift concluded on Thursday. So at this point, the balance of work is a little bit of concrete sidewalk work to complete, a little bit of landscaping and reinstatement of driveways, and then the project will be, for all intents and purposes, finished up.
Thank you. The OP and Transportation Master Plan is ongoing. I know the Planning Department has updated council several times and processed through, and there'll be a report coming to council shortly. I'm not sure if it's coming tonight or if it's coming on the 15th, but it will be coming shortly.
With respect to the official plan, just due to scheduling and timing, we're probably going to be bringing an issues and options report to council in early January for that, and we'll also be bringing forward an update on the Transportation Master Plan component as well.
Okay, so we'll change that over to January. So more information on this project will come forward to council in January, and this project will flow over to 2026. The Heritage Conservation District project, of course, we've had the presentations from that, and the public meeting is scheduled for December. And the plan is to have a plan in front of council in January. The network refresh, This project is complete and was very successful and has really helped us tremendously from a security standpoint, as well as an operations standpoint. It's been a tremendous help. There was one area that it was not anticipated they would need a firewall. So we had to purchase the firewall to make sure the whole system was complete. So we went $5,500 over budget. Everything else came within the budget, but it was just that one piece of equipment that hadn't been properly identified by the consultants on the first round. So we did manage to get that in there. The maintenance manager software for parks and recreation, the implementation is complete and staff are beginning to use it. We're waiting for some a final invoice to come in for that, but it's anticipated that that will come within budget. So most of the we have some small overages and underages, and then we have a few large ones. So overall, we're looking at coming out on a very positive note as far as the costing for a lot of the projects. There's some projects where staff has pitched in order to complete a lot of the work to save some money, and staff have been very cognizant to try and use the public's money as wisely as possible. I'd be happy to take any questions after that very long presentation.
Any questions, comments? Councillor McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The OPP pumping station, I know that's what it's called. Is it specific to the OPP building? Or if there was other commercial development along that strip, does the pumping station benefit the strip, or is it specific for the OPP?
Through the chair, it does serve that whole stretch along Queen Street. We call it the OPP pumping station because it was put in when the OPP regional office was constructed.
Okay, that's good news. And I guess bridges, it's got nothing to do with bridges, Paul. It bridges the 2026 capital and this capital. And I have questions around the asset management plan and its impact on our capital budget. As we get it up to, ramp it up to full speed. We're not quite there yet, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
Is it possible to use the data from the asset management plan? Because some of these departments, there's almost predictable. We've got to keep spending on the capital side every year just to maintain the facilities or our infrastructure. And yet, so it's predictable. Will the asset management plan, say, go back 5 years and tell us what we're averaging spending on some of our assets so that we can almost predict going forward what those costs are? Because some of these budget items are, $3,000 or $4,000. And I thought, well, you could almost predict that and put it into the operating side. Again, it's great to see it as a curious person, but some of this, we could almost predict those, and they should just, I wonder if they shouldn't just be built into the operational side of that budget.
Through the chair, it's funny you mentioned that because we actually had a conversation with that at senior management to talk about the fact that we have a policy of what dollar value for each area you would actually capitalize and which ones you don't. So we had a conversation about the projects that really don't qualify and they wouldn't actually we wouldn't capitalize the project. It's a TCA policy is what it is, and it's available on the website. So moving two areas. One is moving any projects that don't qualify for that over, because really what should be on the capital project is A, projects that don't occur on a regular basis, and B, dollar value projects that will enhance or change in some way where we'd be making changes in the asset registry and also making changes in the GL and reporting that as a TCA change within the audited financial statements. So the second part of that, if it's regular, does it go into the operating? again, it comes back to looking at qualifying. Will it be capitalized? Will it affect the capital structure? We can put it into the operating. There's nothing in legislation that prevents us from saying, okay, we can capitalize it, but we're going to put it into the operating budget and then capitalize it at the end of the year. You're able to do that. Administratively, it's a little bit of finagling, but it actually can be done. But we had a conversation to really identify, as we come up to next year's budget, kind of shortening it down, making it a little more compressed. The other thing that staff have been charged with is to look at specific areas. So instead of having a number of projects that are for the water treatment plant, let's have one budget enhancement sheet or a budget package that would be that one structure. And here's the 5 projects that are smaller. They should be capitalized, but then they total it up, and then provide a little bit less reading material for council and make things a little more compressed.
I don't mind the reading at all. As I say, it's very interesting, but to see picnic tables and tables and chairs for the arena, or even an annualized, we replace one car every year in our police force. Like, those things are predictable, and I just wondered, I guess they are capital, but anyways, it was just a conversation if the asset management plan might, going forward, change that.
So you're right, sorry, and back to what you were originally saying through the chair, with the asset management plan identified, the asset management plan itself provides a bigger detailed picture and really looks specifically at the funding and how equipped are we for replacing our assets in the future. Then it's up to us as staff to be able to take that information and put that into some sort of a readable format that makes sense to council for 10 years coming up, so that we're not coming back and bringing new projects and a number of them. We can identify those continual projects and we can bring a more of a plan as opposed to year-by-year projects. So we've started down that process. The BCAs are going to come in that need some analysis. They're just about complete, and it'll need some analysis and provide a 10-year plan for facilities, specifically for facilities. The IT strategy will come forward, and part of the RFP request was that they give us a 3-year financial plan, which we look at 3-year, and depending on what the dollar value looks like, we might want to extend that out to 5 years and put together that same plan. And in that same format, add the roads pieces, which has actually been done. Council had asked for more information on further long-term plans for the roads. So the roads department has put together a 10-year ACMP program as well as a 10-year capital program. It's reflected within the 26 budget, but when we come back on the 8th, we'll show a snapshot of what that looks like. And then there was one other piece that we had, we're waiting for, that would provide a 10-year structure. So there's still some balls in the air to be able to come back and say, okay, council, here's our 10-year plan. This is what we're looking at for capital spends. And then it would have to change, if something drastic happens, maybe a vehicle didn't last as long as it was intended, a boiler needed to be replaced a little sooner. So we can have those kind of fluctuations. But for the most part, it gives a large portion of what our capital replacement schedule is going to look like over the next 10 years. It's just, unfortunately, with the amount of work that needs to be done to put this together, we're trying to get there, but we're not quite there. But the goal is to get there. The goal is to make sure the council has some information to make decisions, but know what's coming ahead as opposed to being a yearly surprise. And the same with the operating staff have been working on projections for the next 4 years beyond what's being budgeted for, to say we've identified needs that change and alter within the year, so we can kind of come with a plan at some point once we get it all wrapped up to give a little bit of a longer term look at what does it look like for our operating needs. So the plan is to bring that more condensed, and I think we'll get there. But we've certainly taken a step by looking at business cases and bringing that forward. But we're certainly making some progress, and I think we're on a good path.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Brennan.
Thank you. And just a comment on that, predictability is very difficult. And you may have a fire in a public works building, or you may have other things happen. So as long as it's transparent, and even if, we're talking about replacing a car, it's transparent, people know what we're spending the money on. I had a question though, on this sheet here on the trunk main. So you've got a 5 million figure for balance forward, and then a 25 budget of 5 million, and then about 35,000 spent, and then there's a balance of 9.9 remaining. So does that mean we have 9.9 in the bank towards that now? I thought that was in the budget for this year.
Yeah, so, no, it doesn't mean that we have 9.9 million in the bank, because the original funding, or the original project that was brought forward to council for approval specified that there was some development charges to fund it, but the largest portion of it would be debentured. And with the debt report that I brought a couple councils ago, that's where we touched on the need for debt for that project at this point with the information that we currently have.
Okay, the way I read it was, oh, well, there's 9.9 in the bank for it, but it's not. Budget remaining.
So when the
and the budget remaining column.
Oh, sorry.
It says 9.9 in the budget remaining, so.
And in 26, and you'll find in the next report, we'll be adding another 5 million to it.
Yeah.
And so when construction actually starts, we'll be taking out a construction loan that we can draw on with Infrastructure Ontario for a good portion of it. And then once the construction is done, then we have a 3-month window with Infrastructure Ontario, who we get the construction loan with, to decide at the end of that period if we turn it into a debenture or work out other financing with another financial institution.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Miller.
Thank you. So just a comment and a question, if you don't mind. First of all, I just want to thank the staff, CAO Morris and your senior team. I know how much work goes into this from that side of the table, and the amount of projects that were tackled in 2025 is absolutely outstanding. There's a concern that comes with that too, because there's a number of projects that are still outstanding, we're scrambling to finish, or we've deferred. And then the next item on the agenda is a whole list of new things. Do we have the capacity to do that in reality?
Through the chair, great insightful question. And that's been the subject or the focus of a lot of discussions we've had. So I think we had 81 capital projects in 2025. We're proposing 69 in 2026. And probably 10 to 12 of those are carryovers. I think we've, the staff have put together what they believe is necessary and is needed in 2026. So I think we're building more capacity internally to take large projects on. I think we've established the right balance between outsourcing work, some of the larger projects, and doing many of them in-house. A pump rebuild will be done internally. A large project, of course, we outsource. So that's a discussion we constantly remind ourselves of our capacity, but we think what's being proposed in 26 is manageable. Not to say some projects might not carry over for other reasons, but not necessarily because of capacity. It might be a weather issue, it might be an ordering, a logistics issue that comes up. But I think it's important to look at the project. It's not necessarily bounded by a 12-month calendar year. Sometimes they spill over on purpose. And we also need to spread that work out throughout the year. So some projects may start later than we anticipate. But I think generally what we're proposing on the next agenda item is doable from a staff capacity point of view.
My question was on the line with Councillor McCann, as I was wondering whether goose hazing counts as a capital project or how it fits into that criteria.
I think I'd turn to the Director of Community Services.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Goose hazing, what makes that capital versus operational? Why, Like it's not an asset. It's not improving an asset in a way that, you know.
One more time, Chris. I'm sorry. What was the first part of that question?
Goose hazing.
Goose hazing. Okay, yes, sorry, I missed that part. Sorry about that. So yes, we're moving it into operation because we decided to move it into operation. Why did we decide to do that?
Because it's done year after year.
Because it's done year after year. So, and we're on.
It's not going to be in 2026.
So it'll occur in 2026. It's embedded in the operational budget. So that was way too hard for me to answer. I'm so sorry.
And that was a recent change, as we said, we had through the chair, we did have a conversation at the senior management table to qualify what's considered a capital project. So we are making adjustments on the fly because staff have actually identified exactly the same thing that the both of you had brought up as a question. Staff have identified it, and we're making some changes to rectify that situation.
You can probably guess I haven't had time to review my binder yet, but that's good. Is there any other questions, comments on this one? So we can move into 2026.
Okay. Thank you. So there's an awful lot of information in here. And I'm not sure if maybe in the past these budget sheets had been provided or not. It's an awful lot more reading for council, but the intention wasn't to overwhelm council with information or to try and cause more work. As we're moving towards a longer term focus, staff felt it was important to provide council with some information beforehand. And even though we're talking about it tonight and it hasn't been provided, council hasn't necessarily had too long to digest it. We're also not looking for decisions tonight. This is simply to inform council. These are the projects that staff have been looking at. These are the projects that staff feels are important to move forward with. And then the discussion it comes in future budget meetings. Which projects are we going to tackle in 2025 and which projects are we going to defer to another year possibly? I think there was a question last week by Councillor Robinson. Is it a wish list or not? The answer was that staff does believe that it's, which was an excellent question, by the way, but staff does believe that these projects are necessary. And another great question would be, but do they need to be done in 2026? And I think that'll become a major factor as we tackle the projects. I'm not sure how much information that council can digest tonight.
Councillor McKenna?
Not on that question. I just on the CAO Morris wrote this report, so I just had a question on the wording on one line before you get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
So could I ask that? Is that a good time? Thanks. It's on the carry forward projects, that line near the end. And it talks about the 1.165 million investment. And it represents an additional, so is that 1.165 in the 29, or is it, do we add that on top? The carryover capital, is that already in the 29 million, or do I add it on? I couldn't understand it from that.
So, yeah.
Question I think our treasurer can answer.
That's a terrific question. It's not a part of the $29 million. This is the portions that are related to what was approved in 2025 are separate.
Yeah,
But as far as the funding goes, if you remember last year, we had a discussion when we looked at what are the ending balances of our reserves based on what we've committed and making sure that we don't overcommit. So that has been taken into account. So when we come back with more information in the budget meeting as far as what can we afford, how much do we actually have, that will have already been taken into account.
Thanks.
Councillor Brennan?
Well, were you going to go through it or just take quick questions?
I'd be happy to do either. I have absolutely prepared to go through the whole thing.
Well, I'll look to the chair. What do you want to do?
I assume, personally I'm frustrated because we got this Friday afternoon. If you couldn't get to the town hall to get it, it hasn't been posted on the internet. So members of the public haven't been able to review it, but most people have reviewed it and they've got questions and they're ready to talk about it. Then I'd we've got lots of time tonight to do it, so
Okay, well,
that's the consensus
But-
of. Has the majority of the group had time to go through it?
I for one, I don't need to hear a synopsis of the 69 one by one. That's what I'm saying. I've read it, and other questions are, I'm sure, are going to come up after I ask my questions the next week. And I'll preface it by saying we haven't seen the operational yet, so it's very difficult to have to have a look at it. So, but I do have a couple of questions just with specific projects and just a couple. So
Maybe if we go through it section by section.
okay.
I believe the first section is the fire.
And would you like me to speak quickly to the projects within fire or just questions? Okay, just questions.
Just questions. Councillor Miller?
Thank you. So last year we had a conversation about the new tanker chief, and your memory's better than mine. I know that you say that the current tanker is at end of life, but are we having issues with the current tanker, or is it just we have to replace it at some point?
Through the chair, and again, a great question. If I can just put some context to the proposal for the replacement of a tanker. This has been proposed over the last 3 or 4 years. And the reason and justification for putting that in is our emergency vehicles are regulated under the Fire Underwriters Survey. They're also regulated under the National Fire Protection Association, Section 1901. And they're also regulated under the ULC S515. And what that does, what those organizations do, is they review the safety of the vehicles, they review the age of the vehicles, and then they put that alongside the population of municipalities, whether they're small, medium, or large. Based on all the information, a tanker is considered to be replaceable and end of life at 20 years. Can you carry it for 25 years? Yes, you can. Can you carry it for 30 years? Yes, you can. By carrying it over that number of extra years, you're increasing the liability, you're increasing the firefighter's safety by doing that. You're also looking at increased costs for repair as the vehicle is there, it's got the water on it. It continues to erode the components of the vehicle and make the vehicle less reliable than it would if it had been replaced within the 20-year scope. When we looked at this vehicle over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been significant breakdown in the body. The body off this vehicle was on the previous tanker, so it wasn't a new body. The cabin chassis was a 1993. That was a used from the lumber yard. So we were mixing and matching 2 pieces of emergency to make one emergency vehicle. We've experienced a situation where we've had a significant fire with no water. We've experienced situations where we've had fires and fire calls with limited water flow out of the hydrants. This is both putting not only the public at risk, but it's putting the firefighters at risk. This vehicle is a standard transmission in it. It's not an automatic. It certainly doesn't meet today's standards for equipment. We also take a look at other considerations. We have our automatic aid agreement with Drummond North Elmslie, which continues. Part of that response requires the tanker. We have other neighboring municipalities that, when called for through mutual aid, a tanker and a pumper is a primary response. At this point, we have no backup for the current pumper that's in service. When it goes in for its annual service or any other repairs, or it's committed to call, we're using a $3.5 million aerial with 200 gallons of water on to respond to other emergency situations. My professional opinion, and I've been doing this for a number of years, is that piece of equipment is a vital piece of equipment. The fact that we've been able to stretch it out for the number of years that we have is fantastic. That speaks volumes about how it's been taken care of. What we can't take care of is the age and the condition of the breakdown of the piece of equipment. We proposed when we put the $200,000 allotment aside in the previous budget was to span this out over a 2-year period. I'm still suggesting that that can be done given the current situation with manufacturers. It could take up to 18 months to replace the vehicle to begin with. So we've got a portion of the cab and chassis set aside. And if we look at doing that again with the body component to make sure that it's meeting today's standards and provides us with backup and firefighter safety and reduces the liability on the municipality, because at this point in time, there's no insurance grading for that vehicle due to its age. So we've opened a can of worms that that we need to seal back up. I hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Chief.
So further questions on the vehicle?
Sure. Thanks, Chief. And I know it's been simmering in the background for a while. We had previously replaced the pumper, I think a few years earlier.
Correct.
The aerial's now
12 years.
12 years old.
Correct.
So I mean, I know we've got aging. That equipment's good for a long time yet. The tanker probably is an exception. I respect the need to expand the fire hall, probably whether we got a tanker or not. I know it's a very tight situation down there, and that's part of the whole plan here. I do still struggle with recognizing that most of our town is serviced by hydrants. I know with Joe North Elmsey, yes, we have an automatic aid, so we're going to be out there first. And once we leave our borders, we have no access to hydrants, so we need the tanker. The same thing with Rita Lakes, but it puts an onus on our taxpayers to pay for a tanker, which may be used more in the rural areas than it would be used in the urban areas. I understand there's a couple areas in town that also where hydrants don't reach, or it'd have to take a lot of hose to reach. But for the most part, most of our town is covered quite well by hydrants. So I do struggle with this. Is a proposed cost $800,000 total? Well, we have 200 reserved plus 600 more for this year.
That's correct.
Now, what about? I mean, I'm not far from an expert on this, far from even close to being an expert, but used ones. I mean, I've seen used ones around for $200,000, $300,000 that might be 8 or 10 years old. That probably come close to or do meet current standards and the size that we're looking for. I'm just wondering if that's a potential solution that would buy us another 15 years or so to try to help minimize the capital outlay we'd have to make now.
Through the chair, there are a number of used vehicles out there, but I maintain they're getting rid of them for a reason. If they were a vehicle that was fulfilling the obligations of whatever municipality, they wouldn't be getting rid of them. Because they're in the same boat as we are. They're regulated and legislated by the same organizations. So if they can get 20 years out of a vehicle, but they're selling it at 15, they have a vehicle replacement program in place, and they're funding that on a yearly basis. Or there's concerns that they're getting rid of the vehicle because it has concerns. The value and the cost of the vehicle, without question, are enormous. And they continue to climb year after year after year. The fact that we've had this vehicle in service, the fact that I've had discussions with the Director of Public Works, it's the areas that don't have water, that's obvious. But there's a significant number of areas that have low water rates, or low water flows, I should say. And we've had open discussions concerning that, and that is a major concern. The cost, but I'm speaking from my own opinion, and I know I'm a bit biased on it. We look at the cost and say, if you do 2 calls a year, you do 200 calls a year. My response would be, if it saves 1 life, or reduces the dollar loss, or increases the safety for the firefighters, in my opinion, as a taxpayer, it's money well spent. If we don't do that, and something should happen, or there's an increase, knowing full well that this vehicle does not meet the current standards, then we're liable. And when we look at a number of other things that we could look at, instead of replacing a tanker, if we're looking for a backup by a pumper, the pumper that we have downstairs at $600,000 when we bought it is now $1.2 million. So the cost is just, it's on every single vehicle. So I understand, I can certainly appreciate this, in my opinion, is not a nice to have. It's not a want to have, it's a need to have.
Councillor Brennan?
Yeah, so I guess, Chief, my question would be, I just heard that it would take 18 months to get one, correct? And so you conceivably wouldn't pay for it until you get it. Is that how that would work?
The cab and chassis would be paid for a drop off at the manufacturer. It wouldn't be registered in our name. Then the balance of the vehicle upon completion and acceptance would be paid for the same as we did with the pumper.
So, and I agree with what you're saying in terms of liability and safety for everyone involved. But if we did, because we did 200 last year, if we did another 200 this year, would that get it ordered for the following year?
We can certainly put the order in. And again, when we go, because of our procurement policy, if we go to tender, the two companies that have previously supplied vehicles have looked at an 18-month turnaround. Not to say that there could be a company out there that could say they could deliver it in 12 months. If council is looking at,
You know where I'm going.
I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but if council's looking at a sole sourcing purchase for a Canadian company, then we could certainly look at an 18-month turnaround.
So that we could possibly get away with putting another 200 away and then
13, 14 months, possession early
Yeah.
2027.
yeah.
Correct.
Councillor McKenna?
I just want to speak in support of the purchase, and you'll have to work out. So if we land there, I'm supporting this purchase. That's all.
Echo? Did you have another?
No.
I guess my question on the tanker replacement, it's almost $1 million. We've lost the automatic aid agreement with Rideau Lakes. What kind of revenue are we expecting to bring in for it? And have we ever looked into having some kind of agreement with a neighboring fire service to provide that capability instead of being the one that provides it in-house?
Thank you for the question. And the revenue you're speaking of is from?
I'm assuming there's revenue associated with the automatic aid agreement?
The current automatic aid agreement with Drummond North Helmsley for 2025 is approximately $12,000. The previous agreement that's due to come to an end with Rideau Lakes was $80,000. And again, if we look at the potential of that happening again, then we have the equipment to provide that level of service. We also, if we look at neighboring municipalities to rely on them for fire protection, then I have to go to the Fire Prevention and Protection Act, which clearly says when you're looking at a mutual aid program, that a municipality must be able to provide the normal services and service level set by council. So we can't rely on every time we have a call somebody else in. There's a number of factors that go into that. So we're going to look at a delay for response. We're going to look at a possible no response if they're committed another call. So we're operating off a hope and a prayer, relying on other jurisdictions to facilitate operations within our own municipality. When our establishing regulating bylaw, when it was laid out and redone, we clearly identified the services that we could provide, and that council endorsed that. So to steer away from the establishing regulating bylaw to say we're going to rely on other municipalities, in my opinion, I don't think that is a good thing.
I guess in my head, the thing that's very different now that those revenues have gone down significantly, and if we look at the costs that this is going to be amortized over 30 years, we're talking $27,000 a year. So there's no way there's a return on investment with the mutual aid or automatic aid agreements. I don't have a good understanding of how many parts or what areas of town have low pressure or aren't serviced by mains. So for me to be more confident on getting behind that purchase, I really want to have an understanding of how much of the town needs to be serviced by the tanker and because it used to be more justified in the agreements with neighbors and that business case is gone. So I want to understand how it's going to serve Smith Falls because it's a big purchase. It's a big number.
And through the chair, if I could address that. At the time the mutual aid or automatic aid agreements were put in place, there was not a portion of either one of those agreements set aside for vehicle replacement. Had that been done, you would have had a reserve to draw on to facilitate the replacement of the vehicles. So that wasn't done from however many years ago when we entered into those automatic aid agreements.
Councillor Robinson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I echo Councillor McKenna's thoughts that I'm in agreement with this, but in response to how do you justify it financially? If you save one life, I don't care how much it costs, because what kind of value can you put on a life? You know, so like that's the way I'm looking at it, and it's I believe 32 years old.
Correct.
Yeah, and if it becomes a liability to us, then it becomes a liability to us, and we're the ones, or the town is the ones, who are going to pay the brunt of it. So that's why I'm in support of it, because there is a lot like to put on the life.
Councillor Brennan.
Yeah. So I was here 12 years ago when we bought the T-Rex. And this same debate happened around the table, and it was a lot of money. It was over, I'm guessing 1.1 million or something for it. And so that argument was exactly the argument that I had at the time. And it's not about a business case; it's about safety and public protection. I guess what came into my head when I was sitting here was the truck that we have is 32 years old. Is there any hope of refurbishing it?
Through the chair, we've looked at the options to refurbish it and to switch it from a standard to an automatic. Still not a feasible operation. I certainly have had discussions with the CAO concerning a potential refurbish. You're looking at a complete new body, which is 50% of the vehicle. The cost to try to refurbish a 32-year-old cabin chassis, it'd be not far off from purchasing a brand new cabin chassis. And certainly your comment with regards to the aerial 12 years ago, I can tell you, in my time here, that aerial device has saved 3 lives.
Nice to hear. And I'm not surprised with your answer. Just looking at the budget line here too, I see there's a $200,000 contribution from DCs that would go towards it as well, correct?
That 200,000 is the cost of correct me if I'm wrong, was put across for the cabin chassis.
Okay. And so over and above that is the 600.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I certainly support the purchase. If we could sort of pay half some now and some and the balance next year, that would save us some dough. That doesn't sound like we're going to order one and we're going to have it next month. So.
Okay. Councillor Quinn.
Thank you. So if we were to be buying T-Rex today, how much would that cost?
$3.45 million.
There. So the longer we wait, the more money we're going to have to spend. I personally am in favor of replacing this. And does this tanker have any use to someone else? Can we sell it and make a little bit of money out of it? Or is that opening up something you don't want to get into?
Through the chair, unfortunately, the agreement for the automatic aid that was written at the time does not provide us with that option of recapturing any money for the vehicle. It has a clause in there that Rideau Lakes will receive 3 quotes for the vehicle. We received 3 quotes. The average of those 6 quotes, if we choose to pay for it, we would pay Rideau Lakes to retain that vehicle. Otherwise, at the termination of this agreement, the vehicle goes to Rideau Lakes.
Just one other, showing my support for purchasing one. Most people know me and I drive my Jeep that I absolutely love. I've just found out that my Jeep, that has been very, very well looked after, not driven hard or driven a long distance. I don't have a lot of mileage on it. I have to do a whole lot of refurbishing work on it, expensive work. Now, I had a choice. I don't have any value in this vehicle, or I get the work done, I continue to drive it. But you don't have that option with this tanker. This is something that needs to be replaced, and for many good reasons. If we replace it 5 years down the road, it's going to be a whole lot more money than what it is today, and you're putting people's safety at risk. So I'm supporting buying a new tanker, and let's stretch the cost out as far as we can, for sure.
Councillor Miller.
Thank you. I just wanted to agree with Councillor Brennan, who talked about splitting some of these costs over 2 years. And he was referring to the tanker, but it's just a general statement that as I went through the binder, you know, there's a number of projects that maybe we could look at that as a potential solution to a massive capital budget issue. And so just food for thought as we're getting to second draft.
Panko.
Thanks for all the clarification, understanding, Chief. I guess the 800,000 cost is what you've estimated based on other recent purchases by other departments. How do we know that's? I'm just a quick look online. There's some for $500,000, 600,000. I mean, I don't know exactly what the specs are, but I assume you would build the specs that you're looking for to. We put it up for tender, and then we would have responses. There's only 2 providers in Canada that. 2 manufacturers?
I believe there could be 3. The pumper was built in Manitoba. There's another company that builds down in Quebec, and I think there's maybe 1 or 2 still in Ontario that build. Through the chair, sorry for that. When we look at putting it at the tender, what we do is we try to incorporate not only the things that are required under the regulation for fire apparatus, but we take a look at our specific situation. So we want to ensure that when this tanker is designed, that it is the backup for the pumper. It does have the water capacity, has the pump capacity, has the hose capacity. So in doing that, there is certainly the possibility and opportunity that it could come in less than that. When we put that price in there, we were looking at a number of factors, not only the vehicle, we were looking at tariff costs, if there's components of the vehicle that have to come in from the United States, to factor that in. We also, in discussion with a number of the manufacturers, said that they're not 100% sure what a final cost would be on a vehicle, not knowing where electrical components will come from or pump components that could be coming from anywhere. So we tried to look at the high end, so that we're not coming back saying we've ordered a tanker and now it's $900,000. So that's how we factored in the $800,000.
So is there also a possibility of a stock truck? I mean, just looking 2025, 3,000 gallon pumper tanker. I mean, I don't know specs wise that's available by a local manufacturer for $500,000 right now. So I'm wondering, I don't know if we, maybe before our next meeting, you have an opportunity to even look at what's stock out there. Sure. I mean, your comments are very relevant and strong. I mean, if we get one now at a more reasonable cost, rather than waiting 18 months to get one in 2027, recognizing that what we have right now doesn't meet our needs today, is probably creating some degree of risk. So my preference is if we replace it and we can save some money, we can buy something in stock now and bite the bullet and do it now. If 300,000 for next year and 300,000 in 2027 simply means there's 300,000 less in 2027 to do work then too, right? So I know we don't need a decision on this tonight, but maybe a little bit more insight would be helpful. And then have you come back, we can chat about it again.
Through the chair, what we'll do is we'll take a look. We've got a spec that's already been done. This isn't the first tanker that's been ordered. And we compare that to the stock vehicles, knowing that, you know, if there has to be an upfit or an upgrade to it based on what our requirements are, then that can be factored at the same time.
Okay.
I guess just one last comment on this one. I think it's clear that the tanker is at the end of its life, but when it comes to our budget deliberations, I think we need to be making rational decisions and making objective decisions. There's a lot of things that a community could spend $1 million on that could save a life. We need to make sure we're spending it on whatever's most needed, best value, and it's going to provide the best service for our residents for the years that asset's going to be in its life. So for me, if we did have that information of how much of the town requires the tanker service, it would be much more helpful to understanding the need to replace it. Because as much as it can be used in the neighboring municipalities, I think we need to think of Smith Falls first. And if there's no business case for that service to the neighbors, then there needs to be the service in Smith Falls for me to justify it. Councillor McKenna?
No, thank you for those comments, Mr. Chair. One of the rationale I used was our pumper goes out, but when we're in trouble, they all come in. This isn't a Smith Falls only. And we've had our partners come in. So they've invested in their fire service, knowing when we need them, they're there. And when they need us, we're there. So that was the key factor for me. We're not an island. So that was my rationale. Thank you.
And I guess just in my head, it's without the Rideau Lakes contract, our service level has gone down a lot. So it's just, more questions there. I had a question on the CAD upgrade while we're on fire. Knowing that we did pre-budget approval for the police CAD upgrade last week, are there any opportunities for collaboration, or are these systems, I don't know, are they similar softwares or anything to collaborate on?
The systems are totally different. There's no comparison between apples and oranges. Two different companies, two different providers, two totally different setups, two totally different requirements for the CAD. Our CAD system upgrade and our mapping is all done through Lanark County, which was negotiated. So that's covered, but the upgrade itself for the information is through Bell, is who we deal with, Bell X-Wave.
Any further questions on fire?
So just do we have a consensus or clear direction? I guess is what I'm asking. It seems like there's, for the most part, a majority who wants to go ahead. Question of, I guess, whether go ahead in what capacity.
Councillor Brennan?
I understood that the chief would come back look at what's available and come back to us. And then I think everyone, most of us anyway, the majority of council are in favor of purchasing a new tanker. So it's just a matter of, if we have to wait or not and what the price is.
So we're fine with that direction then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was there consensus, like Mayor Panko, you suggested other options?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, if she can come back, look at maybe install.
Consensus.
Yeah.
Great. Any last call for fire questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to, is there anything for police this evening?
So go on with the police now.
Well, if there's no questions, is there questions for any of the police line items?
I thought.
Okay, so. Councillor Miller.
Sorry. I just a process question then. This has already gone to the Police Services Board and has been approved by them?
Correct.
Thank you. That was it.
That's it?
Sorry.
Through the chair, with your permission, I would also point out that back to the fire with the CAD upgrade, that carry forward 120,000, that's what we mentioned earlier, 60 have been approved in 24, 60 have been approved in 25. the information, finally came back with a solid estimate of the work and what the cost of the work is. So the fire department's adding 18,000 to complete that project off for 138,000.
Councillor Miller.
Sorry, so I don't know if the chief needs to come back up. Maybe the police services board folks can answer this, but was there not also a new need or discussion around, and I'm not sure the term, spit guards, spit shields?
The chief can speak to that, yeah.
Yes, they were very minor. It was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably $40 if that. That came out of our operating budget for 2025.
Thank you,
They're
Chief.
very thin material.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Chief, I have a question on the new water tower upgrade emergency antenna.
Yes.
We've got that in the police budget, but we don't have it in the fire. If the water tower was to stay up another year, can that be postponed, or is it?
The one suggestion that we had with Bell was that pricing wise, if we were able to get a good price for the upgrade and be able to at least put it up there, then we can look at eventually. We just wanted to make sure that we did that first before there was any kind of change to the old water tower, and having that up and ready to go, so that they also wanted to test it as well as putting some infrastructure at Town Hall for a secondary site for us as well. But we're going to be doing some shopping too to make sure that we have the right pricing for what we need, because I have a feeling that the last time when they did the infrastructure at the old water tower, there was way more technology that we actually need for a small service like ours. So I'm doing that homework beforehand, but I think it's important for us to at least look at doing that upgrading system before anything gets taken down, or making sure that everything's good to go.
So in the short term, our existing system is capable and
Yep.
good service.
It is getting very old system, so we just wanted to ensure that we had all new equipment because that is end of life at the old water tower.
Thank you. Any further questions on the police capital? Bring Councillor Robinson back.
I could mention to council now, one of the purchases for capital is through a grant, which I have good hopes that I will get because I have been successful. And the tablets that we're looking at in the cruiser may be a bit more. However, it'll do through the PSB, the Police Services Board, that I'll keep them posted on the pricing for that, because nothing will change on my capital line. It'll just be through the one mobile equipment that we had $70,000 for capital, but that's going to be through grant funding. So if there's not going to be any changes, it might be less.
Last call.
Thank you.
Steve.
Just assuming no big questions.
So we'll, through the chair, we'll move on to parks.
So let's do it in the order that is in the table. Councillor Brennan?
On the parking lot. So we had approved a vision of the park, so this is part of that, am I correct? So this is gonna get that ball rolling?
Yes, and actually, so if I may, we should be tender ready in the next couple weeks. We have a preliminary design. It's had to shift slightly, but it's in the same similar area, so it should be out shortly.
Okay, so in the meanwhile, I was in the parking lot last week, and it's in pretty rough shape in terms of potholes.
Mhm.
So if there's something can be done in a temporary basis to get us through the winter, because the building is being used a lot. So that would be good. And I guess the same goes for the play structure at Lower Reach as well. And I can't remember if that's being relocated or
Ideally, if it could replot.
it's going to
It could be relocated, moved over, but ideally
Yeah.
replaced. So the larger play structure is at end of life, and we'd like to make it a tot lot as well as a 5 to 12. We have a 5 to 12 there right now, and just on the potholes, we are continually adding material throughout the winter while we can and doing some grading. So
Okay.
that's unrelated to the capital budget.
Yes, indeed. And one more through the chair. The gateway feature, I see some work being done there now, and I read the brief synopsis in the binder. And so what do you envision there in terms of look? Just wondering.
Well, so we have a couple of options that we want to bring forward in the next couple of weeks, that's TBD, I think, but in the very near future to bring to council.
Okay.
One of the things that we had a number of conversations with previous to where we got to now was to have some sort of signage, LED signage that is welcoming people to town, giving information on what's coming, what's happening downtown, those types of things, any emergency information, that sort of thing. But keeping it in, not just having a giant LED sign, but one of the suggestions was maybe having it in a lock, like similar to the welcome signs that we have, having something built out in that kind of frame. So we have some vision pictures that we want to bring forward, and just that'll be coming relatively soon.
That's great.
Let's, just to keep it kind of top to bottom, any questions further on the parking lot?
Top one was the one.
I don't think the parking lot was included in the package because it's a 2025, but it's in the table.
That's exactly right, through the chair.
Councillor Quinn on the parking lot?
Just on the parking lot, grading it now, you have to hire another company to come in and do that because we no longer have a grader, right?
Correct, yes.
So that is another cost.
Yes, correct.
Anything for the lawnmowers?
Go ahead.
Councillor McKenna. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that unlike everything else municipalities do, there's no legislation about how often we cut grass, where we cut, or what length it is. Yeah. And it was interesting to see we've added 10 acres of lawn. Have we looked at not cutting grass? And have you done that kind of review? What needs to be and what?
If I may, it depends on who you ask. So yes, we have taken a look at that. There's a couple of municipalities in Ontario that do no mow May to try to get to sort of kickstart pollinators, things like that. I will say that the moment that the grass, the snow was gone, we start getting complaints about the grass not being cut. And so there's a significant expectation within the community that the grass is cut consistently. If there's a series of rain events, we're constantly trying to keep up. So the expectation within the community is that it's nicely shorn. We are open to no mow May. We're open to, in some of the more difficult spaces too, where it's like in Victoria Park, there's that sort of angled berm. It's really difficult for us to get that. So we've thought maybe that would be a good place to start. But we also don't want it to look like a mess. So we have to be very particular about it. And you don't want to do probably wildflower seeding and things like that, which does also take time, energy, and money.
And I'm pretty sure I know what the mayor's going to ask, so I'm not going to ask it. But I think your rationale for the request is solid enough, even if we cut a little bit less grass. You still need these, so I'm supportive. Thank you.
Rebecca?
And my fear, if we some areas we didn't cut, we'd be hearing from the public that we're not cutting our lawn. Why do they need to cut their lawn? And anyway, how much grass do we cut a week on average?
We're looking at maybe around 200 hours.
Pardon?
200 hours.
200 hours?
200 hours per week on the mowers.
Okay.
Collectively. So I can't remember exactly what the acreage is, but we cycle through the entirety in about 8 days. So the entirety of our acreage, yeah.
I don't know if you considered options. Have you considered green options, electric, battery driven, zero turns?
We have. They're a bit more expensive. Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah. We're not opposed to those.
Yeah, I just know my own little, what I checked, there's some great options out there, 8-hour battery life and powerful and quiet and no emissions. So I'd really like to hope that that is carefully considered in the proposal. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Quinn?
Thank you. Is there a possibility of looking at product that could be used rather than the grass type that we have now? Are there new products coming out that would stay lower, greener, maybe not require as much watering, or?
There certainly are some invasive species that we could be putting out there, which we don't want to do. We can look into it. And we have a pretty good relationship with some of the folks in town that provide some advice on that, so we can certainly ask. The difficulty is that we're not seeding a lot of our places. We're just trying to keep up with what's already been seeded. And again, the expectation is green lawn, unless it's been baked as it was this summer.
Well, this is something that would not happen immediately, but I'm just thinking, thinking into the future. Maybe there's things that we could be doing that would lessen the grass cutting hours.
Visioning fields of clover, maybe some goats.
Geese keep grass pretty short.
Oh, you really had to bring that up, didn't you?
Seeing no more questions on the mowers, we'll go to the Christmas lights. I've got a question on that. Just this year, they all turn on at different times and the lights on the main street are not functional fully.
Okay.
Will this fix the problems with the existing systems, or is it just for expansion?
So I can't speak to the lights on the street, on the main street. That's not under my purview, so I don't know.
That's Public Works.
That would be, I think DBA is responsible
Yes.
for the tourism. Sorry, so I deferred that to tourism. But for we can mesh some of the systems. That would be reasonable. So, but this is for new infrastructure. So a replacement of the larger, features that you find in Centennial Park. So tourism's been doing everything related to Town Square. This would be to upgrade some of the stuff that we have in Centennial Park.
Okay. I guess if it's if there's nothing, the fixtures, or there's something wrong with the breakers or the outlets on the light posts downtown. So I'd like to see if we're going to spend money on new lighting, I'd like to see what we have fixed before we expand on it. Councillor Miller?
Thank you. And those light posts have been a DBA purchase, and there's been nothing but problems with them. So actually, when I first read this, I thought, oh, we're going to step in and fix this, but
sorry to disappoint.
Your answer disappointed me greatly.
Okay, well, I'll try better next time.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Quinn?
I do believe the DBA is having someone else come in and look at these lights. But it's funny because I had someone make a comment to me that they think it's a water issue getting in and tripping, whatever. But this person said, if the water's getting in to trip lights, it's also getting into the pole and it's going to start to deteriorate those street lights, the poles themselves. So I think this is a big problem that we do need to get resolved. And maybe we need some more power in here behind all this.
Councillor Robinson?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. It's more of a comment relating to what Councillor Quinn said. I've heard that there's moisture getting into it and ground fault interrupter circuits are tripping. So that's the reason that they don't work most of the time, because there's moisture buildup inside.
CEO Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the little bit I know about this problem is that our Public Works staff have consulted with the contractor that installed the lights and the electrician that connected them. It seems they've not been able to solve the problem. So it's a very operational issue, and we'll take it back and see if we can find a solution.
So does that make it fair to assume, no, we don't need to worry about including it in capital because it can be covered under
It would be premature at this point to put new lights in. I think it's a maintenance issue.
Any further questions on the lights? Waterfront Trail Plan? Councillor Miller?
Thank you. And thank you to Director Clark. We had a great pre-meeting conversation about this. I had asked the question, don't we have a waterfront plan? Now, it's very dated and very old. And so I pulled out the strategic plan, and it said that we would refresh the downtown revitalization and waterfront integration master plan. So my question for Director Clark was, isn't this bigger than the trails?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we landed on the answer of yes, it is. But if you want to say something further on that.
Well, I hope this is the part where I make you happy this time. Yeah, no, it is. I think it's about trying to understand how people circulate around the waterfront, how we connect, how we engage. And I know that one of the comments that's come up consistently through this council is how do we get year-round activity, and this is part of that as well. So whether that's through skiing or connecting or whatever. So that will also include a review of service levels, our staffing and things like that, because there will be impacts if we open up the trails and the waterfront through the winter. We'll have to do different type of maintenance, and we've talked about this before. So I think it's that holistic look. It's also looking back to what we've got previously, some of the work that's been done on the trail standards, things like that, and the lower reach redesign. Those are all key pieces that will hopefully knit together and then have a really beautiful action plan moving forward with some really feasible, tangible, hopefully cost-efficient steps.
So given that, I'm in favor of doing that. It was just if we were narrowly saying just the trails, I thought that was kind of flipping. So I'm yes, much happier with that answer.
So I'm on the other side of the fence of this one, where we just did a trail plan last year. We plan. Could $85,000 pave a section of trail or light a section of trail? Or I don't know what I'm going to get out of another document, but yeah, it's hard to. We've got a lot of planning for waterfronts, trails, parks, and still not a lot of capital investment. So for me, I'd rather see progress than shovels in the ground. Councillor Miller?
And I don't disagree with you, Mr. Chair, but at the same time, you know, we look at the Lombard and Abbott Street. What, do we call that a parkette or do we call it a gateway? And how do we influence the vision of what's happening in places like that? And so I think we need to somehow have that discussion. And maybe if it's through a study or another planning exercise, that's the way we get to do it.
Fair. I guess in my head, I thought we did that this year, but I guess we need to keep planning. I don't understand. But
if I may too, $85,000 will not get you very far. We'll get a very small section. So the investment into upgrading our trails more holistically in a way that I think would make you happy, and I don't say that sarcastically, but frankly, it's not insignificant. And we're looking at much more than what we have the capacity to do financially at this time.
So I guess what was it about the first round of plans that didn't get it all accomplished?
So it wasn't focused specifically on the waterfront and the connecting. So when we talk about waterfront trails plan, I think that the name is a misnomer. That's connected to a document internally that I have that has that's the outcome statement. But in reality, it's, as Councillor Miller was saying, it is much larger than that. So it's about staffing levels. It's about connection. It's about different types of activities. It's not just the surface of the trail and what it actually looks like. The trail standards plan gives us direction to how to create and how to develop trails down the future, where we put lighting, where we put benches, those types of things. But that goes for across the community, not just next to the water. So this would be hopefully much larger than that.
Any questions further on this one? Bellamy Farms Phase 3 Park. Enclosed trailer purchase. Urban forest expansion. Councillor McKenna.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Later tonight, we're going to be talking about our climate plan and action. And, you know, I can't help but think all of us want to have a much more robust than what's here. So I'm going to support it, but and there's no time like the future. If we could double or triple our tree budget, our urban canopy budget, I would be in favor of doing that this year. I'm looking at the strong mayor, see if he have any ideas on this.
Very strong.
Just to speak out that that's not a document. There's some really great reference documents that staff have used, and unfortunately the climate, our plan, it's only about targets tonight. It's not about, so they're coming in the next year or two, but we know more urban canopies, a good thing.
It's a good point, and it makes me wonder, I guess we're under budget for that this year. How are we measuring our success on, like, I don't know, what survives after 5-10 years? I think we've been doing this now, I forget how many years, but you know, it's been in the budget every year. Is it working? Are we losing trees, or what? How's the program evolving?
So that's one of the things that, if I may, that I'd really like to get a handle on this year. So we've, myself and planning have been having some conversations, but we need to really nail that down because we need to understand what we have. We've had some significant tree loss based on storms and other things coming through. We've also had a number of new trees involved, or planted rather. One of the challenges too is looking at, just because you have stumps in the ground, you have saplings in the ground doesn't necessarily mean tree canopy cover. So we've been measuring it a little bit in different ways, and we haven't really fixed. I think that would be fair to say we haven't really fixed on that. We're getting to that. That's something that I want to hammer out later this coming year. To Councillor McKenna's point, if you want to give us more money, we can spend it. We actually are not underspent. It appears that we're underspent for this year, but we've spent some more because we had a bit more time to put some more trees in the ground. So we've expended that fully and then some. We didn't go over budget. We got other money from other places, so it's good.
Thanks. Any further questions on Councillor Quinn?
Just on the planting of more trees. I also sit on the Real Deal board, and I also sit on the Railway Museum board. And the Real Deal are working with the Railway Museum to plant some of their mini forests. So, you know, there could be some possibilities of connecting up with these people to maybe get some of this type of thing going. We know that we do have a mini forest on in Corbett Park, and it seems to be doing very well. So maybe, you know, maybe there is some ways of kind of working with some of these people, but have to realize it's also going to take money. Can't do anything without the money.
Water connection, Centennial Park. Outdoor furniture revitalization. I've got a question on this one. If we approve this as part of the budget, is council going to see it again, or is it just going to come out?
In terms of sort of earlier to Councillor McKenna's question around regularizing. So we would, in a few years, see more. We have put all of the Maglan 300 series, I think that's downtown. We put all of the infrastructure that we had that was sort of lingering about. That's in every possible location that we could find. And we'd like to beef up so that we can get some more of the same while we still have the opportunity to purchase the same. They've been given indication that potentially that will be at end of life soon, and they're going to be in the next couple of years turning that into a different series. So we want to get ahead of it and make sure that we have matching furniture because council requested it.
Great. Because I think I encourage everybody on council to try one of those picnic tables. They're really unpleasant to sit on and eat a meal at. So, especially this time of year. So I think of the Zamboni purchase where we approve it in the capital budget, then we don't hear about it until it shows up. I really don't want to see a bunch of stuff show up in the park that's a mixed match of. So if it's not going to be that, I support it. If it is going to be that, then I don't support it.
So if I may, the intention is to purchase the Maglan series that we have because we do want continuity. Unfortunately, they don't have any picnic tables that would be available. We're limited in what we can get. Also, just a point of clarification, we bought an Engo, not a
Okay, yes. Ice resurfacer.
Yes.
Any questions more on this one? Okay, so that brings us to the play structure at Lower Reach. Questions? No? Lombard Abbott Gateway feature.
Can I back up to the Lower Reach play structure? I'm
Yes,
just
sorry.
wondering if this is something we could actually defer. And the reason being is we've got to fix the parking lot, add the new parking lot. Will we really get to this in 2026?
So if I may, the hope is yes, based on the time frame. So we just had a conversation last week with the contractor, and their suggestion is it could take upwards of a year from now to get the parking lot complete, which would allow us to have one more kick at the can with this last summer with the play structure. What we'd like to do is purchase at the end of season. You can get a significantly larger play structure for significantly cheaper. So we would like to get the budget approved this year so we can have a much better play structure. And just as a point of interest, we had about 370,000 people attending Lower Reach between January 1st and December 31st in 2024. We think there's higher numbers there. Obviously, the bulk of those folks were within the summer months. So it's extraordinarily well used, and the bulk of the activity was around the Kinsman and the play structures. So did we have 370,000 people on the play structure? No, and certainly not all at once, but we're the visits were fairly high, and it is our highest used piece of play infrastructure. So
I guess on the play structure, to set expectations, is the price that we're putting aside the kind of play structure that's going to be a destination that kids in neighboring communities are going to want to visit? Like what kind of play structure does $200,000 buy today?
Great question. And if you can get it on sale, a heck of a play structure. Even if you don't get it on sale, you can get one that would be similar to Highland Corbett or something a little bit larger.
So bigger than Highland Corbett, we're hoping for with a sale.
Sorry, what's the last part?
Bigger than the Highland Corbett one, we're hoping with a sale.
Yes. In addition to which, sorry, if I could just, we're also looking to make sure we have a tot lot, and a tot lot is 0 to 12 as well, or sorry, 0 to 5, and 5 to 12 is a standard play structure. We have a number of 5 to 12 play structures, and I mean age-wise, where the age is suggested at 5 as a minimum and 12 as a maximum. So I'm sure you can figure that out. A tot lot is specifically for younger kids, so we don't have a lot of that in our community.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
Would pre-budget approval make sense with that, or do you think you have enough time to take advantage of the year-end deals?
I'm always open to pre-budget approval, but I think at this point, just based on storage as well, if we were to purchase it this year, it would be problematic. And if we're looking at next year, it might be, it depends, it might be hit or miss. The sales start usually coming in August because they want to get them sort of year-end at the end of the play season.
They want them out of.
Yeah. So we wouldn't know necessarily what we would be able to get until August or September.
Oh, okay.
Questions, play structure? Sorry, I lost my spot. Gateway Future. Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a little more detail on the one in front of the community center, the ribbon. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about more what we saw during Old Home Week, some proper images that, and the imagery could be whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not in favor of having it sponsored by Pepsi or McDonald's or, and I know there's good reasons, unless they wanted to buy it without putting their logo on it. But so just assume that we're going to own it and operate it.
Mm-hmm.
And the impact of the sun on whatever you choose, I'm sure you'll think of all those good things.
Councillor Miller.
Thank you. So we chatted about this earlier, and before I would be in favor of this, I'd kind of like to see your design plan, just because I'm not loving it so far, and that's just personal taste, so it's not the end of the world, but I have some concerns about a digital welcome sign, because that can go one way or the other, right? It's kind of like Councillor McKenna, it can look really tacky or it could look really great. So I just have some, just dragging my feet a little bit on that one.
Yeah, I definitely share Councillor Miller's take, and I'm okay with leaving it as a placeholder, but I don't want it to be one of those kind of pre-approved, it's just going to start happening, because I was disappointed to see things happening without it coming to council first, and I've gotten negative feedback from the community on it so far. So, Councillor Brennan?
I think the director did mention she's going to bring design to us.
So everybody's okay with that? Otherwise, picnic tables. I'll say something rare on this one that I don't say very often, is that Parks Canada does a pretty good job of their picnic tables in town. And the wood, they've got a great surface treatment on them, and they seem to last, and they're a lot more comfortable to sit at than the metal ones we've been putting up. So I'm wondering, for when it comes to the picnic tables, similar to the furniture, is that purchase going to come through council, or design come through council again, or is it going to be a...
So if I may, the intention is no, because we're purchasing wooden picnic tables.
Okay.
So the same ones that we have, and they've stood up really well this year. We have the same finish as Parks Canada. I'm not sure.
It's like the metal frame with the...
No, these are actually wood. So because we can't replace the metal frame very easily, but we can, because if they do get damaged, and they get damaged about the same rate as what we, in our conversations with Parks Canada, ours get damaged about the same rate as theirs, we can fix it more easily. So.
Okay. Any questions, comments on that one?
If I could too, we think this will be the last year that we need to come consistently, give it a little break, and then go back and probably come back again, because we've now turned over all of our picnic tables with this, and they're doing okay.
So no more metal picnic tables in 2026?
Would you like some? I'll put one at your house.
But I encourage
Just kidding, I'd
everybody
never
to
do
eat a
that.
meal.
No, we're looking at wooden picnic tables. The reason we want fixed in place picnic tables are the ones that are by the water, because you may have seen there was a picnic table that took a swim recently, and it was because it was moved close to the water, and then people throw them into we had to rescue a couple, and so we don't want to do that. The ones that are closer to the water are fixed in place, and that's we've got what we need, and that's what we're sticking to. But the intention is not to bring any more at this juncture, but we're looking for the rotational picnic tables that folks are using and renting and those types of things. So I think that's all in the budget enhancement sheet too.
Is it, most of the picnic tables are on a concrete foundation, right?
No, these are the movable ones.
Okay. So I guess like for ones by the water, could we put a concrete foundation down and chain them to it?
Potentially, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe.
So Councillor Roberts.
Can I just make a comment about that? Just from personal experience, walking with Hannah down by Murphy Park, kids don't care. They'll break the wood where the chain is attached and then throw them into the water, or they stack them up along the water so they can dive off them. The wooden picnic tables around the water, they look nice, but I think they're a liability personally. So just my 2 cents.
All right. That brings us to facilities. If there's no more parks comments. We've got painting at the Heritage House Museum. No questions. Cemetery building upgrades. Rapenko.
Yeah, I guess, Director, just wondering how often is that used? It's a chapel you're referring to, right?
Yeah, yes. So
Was it used very often? Do we charge a fee for usage?
So the chapel itself, if I could, is not actually used. It's used for storage. I think the upgrades that we're looking for are primarily cosmetic. One of the things that I find really difficult is when somebody who's probably in grief, maybe not having a great day, having to deal with this kind of stuff, walks into the space that we have. It's not very welcoming. It's not super clean. It's not dirty, but it's difficult to keep clean because it's old and it's outdated. It's obvious that it's formerly a chapel, but it's used as storage. So we'd like to do some basic amenity upgrades and service level upgrades so that you don't feel like you're walking into a garage. It's probably one of the not great times of your life. And so we have our caretaker has his office out there, and that's where a lot of the administration is done as well. And so if someone's trying to arrange to purchase a plot or things like that, they go out there to do that. And so we'd like to make sure that it's a little bit more welcoming and friendly and also accessible for folks. So that's more what we're looking for as opposed to creating a chapel space, because that's not used. And as far as I know, it hasn't been used in a number of years.
Didn't think so. So storage, what's stored in there?
We have approximately 250 folding chairs, among other things.
Right. So if you're talking about space for people having a obviously difficult moment, would that be separate room? It's not, I guess, talking about a wall up to try and separate the storage area, or just make it a more...
Wouldn't be using that. So I think what we're looking for more is office space, so that when somebody comes in to engage with their caretaker or do administrative business, then they'd have a walking space as opposed to a place where the family could go. As far as I know, we haven't offered that in a number of years. So,
Councillor McKenna. Yes, sir.
Thank you. That funding coming out of tax-based capital reserves, we have a Hillcrest reserve. Is that the reserve we're talking about?
No, at this point, through the chair. But what we're doing is we're going back and researching exactly what portion of the trust fund that we're able to use. So as council may be aware, but the public may not, any interest that we make from the trust fund investment, we're able to use for either operational or capital needs within the cemetery. The record keeping for differentiating between the initial trust and the interest hasn't been clear. So we're doing an analysis to go back and see how much we have of that, and we'll update that when that information becomes available. Popped it into the tax-based reserve for now until we get that, clarify that information.
Thank you.
Civitan building upgrades. Heritage House furnace. Exterior upgrades. Regional recreation Marpeco.
Yeah, just back to the furnaces, I guess heating systems at the Heritage House, and look, we have a lot of work required out there. And again, we're going to have our Purchase for climate protection objectives coming up here shortly. Is there consideration for heat pumps? Electrifying. Okay, no, thank you.
Just to be clear, that's not a commitment to a heat pump. There is consideration. That is something we'd like to look at though. And if it works, is feasible and connects to the system, then we'd love to go with that. Yeah.
We don't have central air there, do we?
I don't believe so.
This would serve dual purposes, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Regional Recreation Complex.
I'll just,
Yeah, Franco.
I support this completely. I think it's, I've said before, I say it again, when funding envelopes are available through the federal emergency governments, we need to be shovel ready. And so we need to make the decision to enable this to get as close to that as possible if we're going to be eligible in a very competitive landscape. So just fully supportive. Thank you.
Just on that, and I'm still on the fence on that project. However, because it's such a, like it's $40 or $50 million project, to spend the 250 to learn more and is money I think well spent at this time.
Are there planning grants we can apply for to cover some of this cost, or?
Looking for them, yes. But I don't know if that's, I haven't seen anything yet, but we are looking for them. The other potential, we've been having a conversation about engaging a professional fundraising person, I guess, or consultants group, and other organizations. There's a number of municipalities who've gone down the same road, and one of the things they've done is engaged a fundraising consultant to bring in some funding that then covers the planning as well. So, I mean, hopefully we could get it quote unquote covered, but the fronting would probably be from us. But we're constantly looking for new grants. If you see any, send them my way. But money is difficult to come by for these types of things, unfortunately, these days.
So a little like Councillor McKenna, I'm on the fence on this one too. And if we were looking for things to put off, this would be, to me, an easy one to do.
Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think that when we had the presentation and the demand for some sort of field houses there, and I'm thinking about people that do not own a pair of skates, especially in the winter time. If we're going to go down that road, you need to have a plan. And I believe that there's the money, there will be support out there, but the commitment towards the project is important to get that support. So I'll support leaving it in.
I guess, yeah, if people are weighing in, I'm definitely on the fence with it. I just don't see how we can afford a $50 million facility. And if there's grants available for it, then I'd be more supportive of it. But if things get tight, it's definitely on the list of things that I think could be postponed. Any other questions, comments on this one before we go to station theater upgrades? Visitor center upgrades. What is that? Sorry.
So the Victoria Park building, we've just got some outside work to do to make sure that there's no trip hazards, things like that. There's a few windows, and we want to do I think a shower upgrade as well. We did some work, obviously, with the based on the damage that had occurred. You guys are well familiar with what happened, so I won't belabor the point. But we did some work. Now we want to go to the other side and upgrade that. So it's just a service upgrade. From the building condition assessment, it looks like the building is fairly sound. It's not the most amazing or picturesque building we have, but it is serviceable. And I think if we can provide a bit better service support for those that use it, that would be ideal. And we've been in conversation with the chamber about this as well.
Memorial Center roof repairs. It's our annual commitment. Tables and chairs for the community center.
This is again the last time that we're going to be doing this. We'll have turned over all of our tables and chairs, with the exception of our the fabric-based chairs. So we're going to start to try to repair some of those, and you probably won't see me come back here with this ask next year. So that's not a threat, I promise.
That we can go to the library. Any questions on the back door replacement? Councillor McKenna.
Again, I'm old, so I was struck by the cost of the door replacement. The two front doors were custom made for $3,500 or something I saw. It just struck me, but I guess for commercial doors with the automated openings, and I guess that's just the cost of, and you're putting it into an old infrastructure, so I guess that's just the cost.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councillor Robinson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. My question is concerning both of these items. Why were they not included in the renovation?
Is that the whole question? Okay. I will try to answer that. So I think if I may, that's a great question. I think the intention of the library at the time, and I won't speak on behalf of the library board, but from what I understand, the windows were a separate project entirely, and the door, it was only recently discovered from what I understand. That I'm not sure if you can weigh in on that, but the cube extension was specific because it was separate. Now, to be fair to the library, they did a significant amount of work in addition to that could have come, that was embedded within the money that they were given for that particular extension. So there's a number of new carpets, painting, things like that, and refreshment that was really good in the inside, new redoing the flooring, things like that. So they made best advantage of the funds that were there. The windows, I think, were a bit of a shock, I would say, to the board in terms of the cost.
Mayor Panko.
Just follow up on that. So the price quoted here, is that for all the windows in the building, and is that vinyl or wood?
So I'd have to go back to the email, but I think it was about $54,000 for vinyl for the entirety, and it was $187,000 for wood for the entirety.
So that's wood.
Councillor McKenna.
And again, the climate plan's coming later, but was there an audit, an energy audit of the building?
Don't believe so.
Because I would like to see an energy audit before I supported the windows, to know that we could get credit for the upgrade. So that would be my only caveat. I understand it and support it, but it's.
And I believe if the windows are original, most of the windows would be original to the building.
Councillor Miller.
Excuse me, and I'm on the library board, obviously, but I would just add that it's a designated property, right? So thus the quote for the wood windows, and you know, it makes things more expensive in some cases. And I would just like to make sure we're separating the cost of the back door, because that's not a heritage piece so much. That's the water's coming in there. It needs to be done.
Yeah.
So that renovation, just based on that question, was originally supposed to be just the third floor, and the board was able to stretch that to get some other things done. But older buildings, right? There's always something.
Just my comment on that one is I really hope that the Heritage Committee's consulted this time with these projects, because it is a designated building and it's hopefully going to be a part of our Heritage Conservation District, and it wasn't done last time. So.
And I could just respond to that if I could. The CEO of the library has committed to making sure that's happening, and I will be supporting her to bring that forward to the MHC.
Awesome. And I guess just final question on that, is it a need to have this year for the windows, or is it in the next couple of years? Like, what makes it urgent for 2026?
I can't speak to the library board's request. I do know that I think it would be a nice to have, but also in terms of energy efficiency and so forth, I think it's time. But they may be amenable to a delay, and I can talk to them about that.
It'd be great to get an energy audit to just know. Sometimes the windows don't save as much as you think they're going to save. But,
And just again, as long as we don't delay the door, we do the energy audit in 2026 and the windows in 2027. But I think that door is urgent. Yeah.
Any last questions for the library? I think that's good. Next, Director Clark, water.
So we'll move on to water.
So the trunk main for the water tower.
You might want to come up with a roll.
I guess I've got a question on this one. How long could we put it off to wait for a grant, or what makes it a 2026 necessity? Just help me understand the urgency of this project, since we don't have any grant funding for it.
The trunk main for the water tower?
Yeah, trunk main The $10 million.
Where are you?
I don't know. It's the next one on the table.
Water. First one in water.
No.
Oh, because it would have been another one that's 2025 carryover, right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. So if I understand the question, what makes the trunk main project urgent?
Yeah.
So as we know, previously last year, we talked about the need for this project in its entirety to be a full reconstruction project, inclusive of the addition of the 16-inch trunk water main to feed the water tower. So the route that the trunk main takes is all the way from Chambers down Empress to King over to Rideau to Lorne to the easement, and then the easement all the way to the tower. So currently right now, most of that route is serviced with a 12-inch trunk main, and there is a section of bottleneck where there's a combination of 8 and 10-inch main in there. So effectively, through the municipal class EA process, it was done, and when we looked at the location with the tower, it was all kind of part and parcel to upgrading to the 16-inch trunk main to properly be able to service the tower from the water plant that's over on Abbott Street, all the way down Chambers, and then make its way all the way over to the tower location. So it's a case of, I guess, risk mitigation to make sure that we have ample potable water throughout town, and more importantly, appropriate fire protection with the new tower based on the location. So as I said right now, when JL Richards went through the municipal class EA, they ran a number of different scenarios, and we know that we determined that the location of the new tower, obviously we're going to be taking over the tower on December 10th, be turned over to the town. And there was a significant amount of work done at the time where they looked at the hydraulics of the whole system, and they determined that in order for the tower to go in that location, we needed to upgrade to a 16-inch trunk main from that combination of 12 and the small sections of 10 and 8-inch main. So again, it's that risk mitigation to make sure that we can properly service the tower. It's not to say that we can't bring the tower online, and we're going to do that on December 10th. We'll bring the new water tower online. So we can service the tower with that existing main, as well as the variable frequency drives that we have on 2 of our high lift pumps at the water treatment plant. We run that system whenever we take the existing tower out of service, and we know we've done that a couple of times over the last couple of years with leaks that have transpired where we've had to take the water tower to service and run off those VFDs. So it can be done. It's not something that the ministry would support us to look at that from a permanent solution, right? They're looking at us to be able to properly service the water tower with a larger main. So it's a case of risk mitigation, and it's a case of preparing ourselves for the future as the municipality brings more development on board, that we can comfortably know that we're able to service the community properly. Not to mention the fact that not only are we looking at an upgrade of the, we'll call it the 12-inch main to a 16-inch water main, also along that corridor, not indifferent to a number of areas that we have in town. We have aged infrastructure, notably the combined sewer system that we have in that area. We know that we do have some sections along Rideau Avenue that are, we monitor that area, meaning that we go and pop manholes when we get inclement weather, i.e. heavy rainstorms, to make sure that we don't have any, effectively any areas where there could possibly be a collapsed pipe. But we do know from CCTV records that the pipe is not in very, very good shape at all. It's in poor condition. So all that to say, we're trying to marry up this trunk main project with the rest of the infrastructure that needs to be upgraded within that area. And when I say upgraded, it's going to be effectively a full reconstruction similar to what we've done on the 2 phases of George Street over this year and last, and then Catherine Street back in 2000 and 2003. So I guess to answer your question, could it be deferred? Certainly. Or is it a big ticket item when we're looking at a project that's potentially north of $15 million cumulatively, right? We've got 3 different phases that we're breaking this up to try to spread some of that pain over 3 years. But staff are of the opinion that this is not something that we feel that council should defer on. So we've been playing around with this for the last couple of years, certainly since we completed the EA for the tower, and one project kind of goes hand in hand with the other, the tower and the trunk main. Tower's coming online, the next kick at the cat, if you will, is this upgrade of this 16-inch main. So I hope that answers your question through yourself, the chair.
Yeah, I guess it's just frustrating. There's no federal provincial money to help us with this project when there's been so much funding envelopes opened up for water infrastructure in the province. But CO Morris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I would remind council that we have 2 active funding applications out, one provincially, one federally. And we'd like to think we'll get a response on one or both of those before we finalize the budget in January.
And how much are those for?
I think we applied for 2/3 or 76%.
If I could, through the chair, the one project being, or sorry, the one funding stream being the health and safety water stream, supports projects such as this for 73%. And the municipality would kick in the balance of the 27%. But again, those are in the pipeline, and we're hopeful that we're successful in one or both.
Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, I've said that 100 times, and for big projects like this, like the arena, like the water plant, we're all 2/3 paid for. So with any luck, someone's watching the meeting, and this will be a game changer for our budget if that came through. And I'm really pleased to hear from CEO Morris that we may hear that before we finalize this budget.
Councillor McKenna.
Yeah, and luck won't have a lot to do with it. It's excellent proposals, and we meet all of the criteria that the provinces. So this is a very good, solid application and we've delegated. So I'm hopeful as well. So,
if I could, through the chair, the application, particularly for the health and safety water stream, it checks the boxes.
Yeah.
So we're crossing our fingers. So. I will note as well, if I could take one more second through the chair, that our consultant EVB, they're actively working on the design for this project, knowing that we will be pulling the trigger on this project at some point. So we haven't taken the foot off the gas on that point as well.
Further questions, comments? Okay, so that water meter replacement was a 2025 granular activated carbon. Another 2025. Any questions on those ones? Hydro guards, McDonald Street and Robina. What are those?
So what a hydroguard is, when you think of the Smiths Falls water system, we have extremities, and at those extremities, we sometimes have dead ends. A solution to dead end would be to loop a main and connect them together. In some areas, that's not always feasible. So what we can install is we can install what we refer to as a auto flusher. So it is a battery controlled device that opens and closes and operates through an air gap system. And what it essentially does is it reduces the amount of operator time required. So one, it's an efficiency. It's going to save us time. It provides us with a sampling station. One of the challenges that we've experienced in the town of Smiths Falls is where can we get a sample at the times that we're collecting them. Traditionally in the past, we would go to a resident's home. That's not always as accommodating. So to have some self-sufficiency, it allows us to have that. And not only that, it ensures the turnover in the dead end areas. So it's a water quality improvement.
What's the need in an older neighborhood like that? What created the need this year?
For these?
The HydroGuard, yeah.
The need would be is that as we look to create, as we continually look to improve our system, we can take steps forward or we can take steps back. I see this as a step forward for us. One of the things that's been brought up is we need to be more efficient with the staffing that we have. And we've found that with these tools, they've reduced some time that it requires. One thing, for example, is when we do our annual hydrant flushing program, you could end up at a hydrant for 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes. Well, that's time that an operator has to be on site at a location performing that task. With the turnover that we can set these things up on a schedule, we can set them Monday to Friday, we can pick the time so that they don't affect any of the residents, and we can just simply have somebody go around and verify the operation once a week, which is a shared responsibility of our treatment staff who go out sampling and our distribution staff that maintain the devices.
Chair, if I could, basically in a nutshell, it's a response to maintaining water quality on those dead ends to make sure that we have proper turnover of the system. A dead end is a dead end, just that. So over the course of the evening, when the system isn't supplying water to people's residences, we can set up a schedule with these HydroGuards, these auto flushers that they kick on periodically, so we get that turnover in the main, so we can make sure that we have proper chlorination in those dead ends. Trusting that makes sense, hopefully.
We've got a number of upgrades to the water tower, security, generator, communications. Any questions on those two? Pumps and fittings, utility trailer, valve nut, RX kit, UV system parts, stainless steel pipe replacement, reservoir and hatch replacement, radio system update, intake diversion chamber, chlorine system parts, backup central UPS system, WTP alarm panel upgrade. Councilor McKenna?
Just a lot of that list just goes back to my earlier comments that, that hope that at some point you just build it into your operating where it makes sense. And,
yep.
Yeah.
And then moving into wastewater, maybe we've got less questions on these sections. Does anybody have any specific questions on the wastewater line items? Sewer hydraulic capacity, sanitary sewer, sewage pump, headworks.
Other than to say, it's impressive that the wastewater system is an older plant, and I'm always reassured that we're on top of all these. They seem small and this piece and this, but to have somebody on top of it and constantly keeping it at that level of readiness and repair is reassuring to me. So it's good news.
Yeah. Through the chair, I'd just like to make one comment, and the comment is that we never know when something's going to fail. Like you've talked about, we can use the asset management. We can monitor the amount of money that we've spent, the repairs. We're getting better. We're building those systems. There's some systems that are going to be implemented over the next year or two that are significantly going to improve how we look at these projects going forward. I've got the fortunate benefit of being around for a number of years and seeing the facilities age. So having a good understanding of how things work and what needs to stay working and keep working is just the real look at this. Our system is aging. Our wastewater plant is 32, going on 33 years old. And that being said, there's a lot of things that, just like an old car, we're very fortunate we can replace some parts on some things, but other pieces are standalones and require either full replacement or looking at a new solution. So,
through the chair, if I could, the second line item there under wastewater is the CIPP sanitary sewer. So that's our cured in place pipe. If you recall, this past year we replaced the sewer line through the underneath the old outdoor rink and then across the parking lot and through the two arenas. So we simply did that for risk mitigation purposes, and quite often when we do these cured in place pipe operation, we're looking at sections of pipe around town, sanitary sewer pipe, that we realized to have some deficiencies with it through our CCTV, our closed circuit TV inspections that we do on an annual basis. So the section of pipe that we're doing this year we're proposing to do is on Brockville Street between Ross and Marguerite. It's on the east side. It's about 178 meters of 8-inch sanitary pipe that has been for a number of years prone to root intrusion. And there's some deficiencies with that pipe. So we're looking at mitigating some of the maintenance that we repeatedly do on that section of pipe and to mitigate any liability on behalf of the town for sewer backups into people's homes. So that in and of itself is a good rationale for this program, where we can mitigate that risk, where we can sleep better at night understanding that we're not likely to have a collapsed sewer or a blockage from root intrusion and have to get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning to go out to somebody's home to find out what's going on. So so that's the location that we're looking at this year. I just wanted to know that.
Last call for water, wastewater questions. All right, thank you, Roger.
Okay, thank you.
That brings us to Public Works with the ACMP program. Councilor Brennan.
Yeah, this is always the list that I look for on at budget time, because doing streets is very important to the citizens. And last summer was like, boy, is the town ever doing a lot of work around here, which is good. And I'm like, that's your tax dollars at work. On this one, though, I was kind of disappointed. There was a couple of areas that I was hoping to see on it, and they're not. One is John Street and Ross by Chimo School, where there's no sidewalk, and the condition of John Street is not the best. The other one is Allen Street, and I had an inquiry from a couple of years ago, and I thought we had it on because there's no sidewalk there as well. And that connects up to Marguerite, which, as we know, has no sidewalks and have ditches to collect the water. And we all know about that issue, and it's been brought to my attention 100 times. So I was kind of disappointed. I would mention that both John and Ross and Allen Street are gateways to schools. And so a lot of kids walk them, and there's no sidewalk. So I thought I'd bring that up. And I understand that you have a priority list, but I was just sort of disappointed I didn't see them all.
Yeah, through the chair, from our planning perspective, it is a bit of a juggling match, right? Taking into account pavement condition index, so that's the PCI number that we look at from our street scan work that we did back in 2021 or early 2022, where we went through that exercise. We had street scan come in here to drive all the streets with their equipment that has radar, LiDAR on it, all this equipment that they can extrapolate data from driving over the street, and then they can tabulate it in different databases for us to be able to do something with that. So I understand your question, your concern, Councillor Brennan. I will note that Allen, Marguerite, Ross, that whole section up there is within our long-range plan. I believe it's in 2029 to 2030. Certainly, I mean, it's council's prerogative if we wanted to consider moving that up, but in doing so, we'd have to push something out. One of the big ticket items that we have this year would be Percy Street from Broadview all the way to Ross. Broadview all the way to Pearl Street. That's quite a long section of road where the roadway is in poor condition. It's one of the main arteries, if you will, to the schools that you mentioned before. We're doing some work over on Canal Street from Beckwith Street into the bridge into the new Confed Bridge to make accessibility better over in that place. We're gonna have this brand new beautiful bridge, and then we have deficient a short section of roadway and curb and sidewalk leading up to it from Beckwith Street. So we're looking at some improvements there. Everybody hopefully had an opportunity to look at the budget enhancement sheets where we have a list of the projects on there for 2026. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's certainly council's prerogative if you wanted to move things around. It's your discretion. If you wanted us to address Alan, Marguerite, and Ross, we certainly could do that. But keep in mind that there are lots of areas around town, notably around schools that don't have sidewalks. I'm thinking of the areas like up in Marcia Drive, that whole quadrant of, that historic development up there. I would say like circa 1960, those builds, and there's no sidewalks anywhere. So absent throwing more money, if you will, or allocating more money to this capital project initiative, we would simply be adding one to push one out down the line.
Yeah. I get that through the chair, and I would only I get the Marcia Carroll Crescent and that my street doesn't have a sidewalk, but my point would be on John Street especially, that is a throughway for the kids because that goes right to Broadview, right? And before I'm aging myself, but there was no sidewalk on Vincent from Jasper up 10 years ago. Or
Broadview too.
in Broadview, there was no sidewalk on Broadview. So I'm big on sidewalks. So and we've done that, but I would argue, especially Allen Street as well, because it's not in the best of shape to drive over, and it's wide enough for a sidewalk. So I would support. I see the list here, and Thurber is a dead end, although the childcare is at the end of it, right? So
yeah, through the chair, just on the Thurber Street project, we're looking at sidewalk on the, I believe it's, if I'm oriented correctly, on the south side of the street,
on the same side
down to the school.
Yeah,
because there isn't any sidewalk there now.
Yeah.
So we see some, talking with Director Clark, that there are children that go back and forth from either school to the daycare or vice versa, and they're walking on the road. So we felt that this year, 2026, we'd pick that section off and get sidewalk installed in that area.
So when it comes to the AMCP program, last year, I remember that we had asked for the ratings and the data that goes into the decision-making, the prioritization, and we haven't got that yet. We've got an active transportation plan. We've got the road condition assessment. We've got a ton of data that's supposed to be going into these. And I think if we could see more information on that why, then it would help us say, does this match up with the reality? And if it does, then it's like the community grant program where it's really easy to politicize this stuff. We're supposed to have a lot of data to back it up. So let's see the data and then it should be obvious. But personally, I really want to see more information before we finalize it, but I'm okay with the funding envelope. It seems to be the right amount. Councillor Miller, did you have?
I just wanted to back up what Councillor Brennan said, because I used to live in the neighborhood where John Street is, and John and Ross, the kids are walking down the middle of the street. There's cars parked everywhere. There's buses. It's a zoo. We had some safety concerns around the Chimo School this year, and we put up some signs. But I really think that we need to look at that area for sidewalks. And I don't want to give up anything on this list either. Is there something else in the binder we could substitute? And Marguerite and Alan, we just keep deferring every year, right? So if your data would help us understand better, where these projects fall, I do continue to want to see those two neighborhoods addressed. And I'm not as concerned with Marcia because there's not as much traffic.
CO Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think what this discussion underscores is we have more demand than we have money to do this kind of work. There's all kinds of work. We have no problem spending $10 million, quite frankly. But I think if there was consensus around the envelope we're proposing, we could bring back a discussion on the criteria and the warrants that we use to come up with the program. And we could do that before we finalize the budget. You could even make that decision after, as long as we get the envelope in the budget. I think that's what's most important. And that would allow a conversation around maybe John and Ross or some of those other ones need to be moved up from 2030 to 2027. But I think we could have that discussion another day.
Yeah, so I think we've made good progress on.
I don't want to belabor it, but what I'm saying is subjective, and this is what I'm hearing and seeing, and when I'm on the streets, and so it's not totally objective. So I like your suggestion there, and but it just seems like common sense to me with those two areas. So
Now I'm going to muddy the waters because I know on Marguerite and Allen Street, we have some issues with flooded basements. So if we're going to be doing construction work there, that needs to be corrected or whatever before we start putting in sidewalks and then have to dig them up. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see new construction go in and then we have to dig it up in order to fix a problem. I do understand the concerns with Marguerite Street with no sidewalks. I totally understand that. But let's make sure we're not going to do something and then have to dig it up.
So next on the list is the connecting links for Beckwith Street. Any questions on that one? Then we've got traffic controllers and intersection improvements. My question for that is just, will both of those projects have the sensors that we've got at Lombard and Abbott and Beckwith and Elmsley?
For the traffic controllers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, microwave sensors, yes.
They're super.
They're best.
They're the best.
Lombard and Abbott's the best value for traffic we've done in years. Any questions on that though? Good. Public Works Design Build. Councillor Robinson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering why we're taking the assumed cost of $10,458,520 for the building when a comparable building constructed in Montague Township was both slightly larger and came in at a substantially lower cost. So why are we budgeting the full amount for that?
Thank you. Appreciate the question and through the chair. The north of $10 million is predicated on a Class D estimate. So it's kind of based on square footage costs and limited information at the time when that Class D estimate was prepared. It's predicated on basically just like a sketch of a floor plan, the work that needs to be done on the site to upgrade the site. So it doesn't get into all the minutia of the details that you would get into as you work through the design and you go from a Class D to a Class C to a Class B and then ultimately to your Class A estimate, right? Which would be an estimate that would be the number that we would put out to tender, feeling comfortable that that we can support the funding for that project. So all that to say, all that we have to go on right now for budget proceedings is a Class D estimate. Am I confident to believe that number will be something south of $10 million? Absolutely, but we won't know that until we advance the project to 100% design. And let's keep in mind, right now we've commissioned IDEA, which is an architectural firm, to do a 30% design. I'll have a conversation with them this week with CAO Morris and Director Clark and Director Dauber with IDEA to try to understand how do we advance this project to detailed design. I'm comfortable if the broader project is supported at the north of $10 million, that we can certainly incorporate the 100% design within that allocated funds. And I suspect that we won't be, regardless of where we fall on the project, I'll look to Director Dauber to advise on my understanding is we would be, again, it'd be a debenture for that project. We'd be borrowing the money for the project. And correct me if I'm wrong, Director Dower. So at this point, we're, if I understand correctly, we're not allocating money out of reserves. We're just saying, okay, this is what we believe it to be. As we work through the detailed design and we get that number down somewhere south of 10 million, let's say it comes in at 6, 6.5, 7, then that would be the money that we would need to take out a loan for. So right now, it's all we have to go on is that Class D estimate. We don't have anything else to go on at this point, irrespective of what Montague Township's done. Thank you.
Councillor Quinn?
Thank you. Just on that, there I go with maybe another argument. So if we're going to go out for a contract to build this new building, and the contractor says, wow, they've got $10 million, guess what? So are you going to be able to really negotiate a good price when you're starting that high?
Through the chair, I'm happy to provide a bit of an explanation of that. It's really no different, Councillor Quinn, when we put out a contract for George Street Phase 2. Any contractor that wants to understand what the engineering estimate is for that project, we're certainly open to sharing that with them. And quite often, more than not, we'll put that right in the tender documents, what our engineering estimate is for the project. It's a competitive field, right? We put it out to public tender. Contractors are going to bid the work depending on their availability to do the work, how hungry they are to do the work. If they don't have any other projects, they're going to respond to that tender aggressively, wanting to get the work so they keep their staff going throughout however long it's going to take to do that project. So I have little to no concern about, and keep in mind as we work through the detailed design, that number of north of $10 million is going to start to creep down to something that's more palatable. Trusting that makes sense. So when we put out the tender, it's not going to be $10 million. It's going to be something less than that. Yeah.
I think there's good consensus from council that we want to see it lower. It's surprising to me that a Class D would be 50% higher than what other ones are coming in at. Perth has one budgeted between 4 and 5 million for a similar size scope project. So I really want to see that come down. I don't think anybody wants to spend $10 million on that, but I don't know there's much more we can talk about tonight. In the table, Paul, we've got construction, this blank section. What's the purpose of that?
Sorry, through the chair. Yeah, we originally it had prepared from 26 through to 31, and that's when the construction projects were coming. We decided that we would hold off because of the fact that we had received further information that there's not going to be a construction project in 2026, that it will be 27 on, and we have a 10-year plan for that. So therefore, we decided to pull that out. However, it's the placeholders continue to stay in there. So we'll just skip that section if that's okay.
Okay, great. And the last two are software related. Are there any questions with either of the software purchases proposed? Councillor McKenna?
Again, just assuming that your IT strategic plan, or for lack of a better word, that it's been, anything we're doing now, when it's finalized, that'll influence these kind of decisions.
Through the chair, these two specific projects have been discussed in great length with the Perry Group, their consultants, to let them know why. For the building permit software, to do with security, to do with updated features, to engage builders and people with permits further. And that's been discussed in great length, as well as the maintenance manager for utilities and public works, explaining that we've installed maintenance manager for the facilities portion, and this is a continuation of that project to try and bring information that's scattered among different systems into one housing. So that's been discussed with them, and they will address that in their presentation.
Thank you.
Any final comments or questions from staff or council? All right, so seeing none, that concludes our capital budget discussion for tonight. Is that?
Yes.
Okay, we've got a delegation from the Legion, Mr. Manuel here for the council meeting, and I'm wondering if there's consensus to move that to 9.3, seeing nodding heads.
Absolutely.
Mr. Manuel, if you're ready to speak.
After our presentation, the speedy response that you gave us, we'd like to render a certificate of appreciation to the mayor and council, and also to Public Works. And we have a third one we'll deal with after that. But that's the Veterans Crosswalk. I've had a lot of comments. And
all positive.
And very positive. There's hundreds of them in there. And anything that was negative, I get rid of quickly. But basically, overall, it was an awesome response. I'm also now trying to help out Perth doing theirs. Anyways, I'd like to call upon the mayor and Public Works, Paul.
Oh.
Right here. Yeah, well, that's sort of, this is what I'll do these two first. Sure. Okay. So this is, okay. Still trying to see. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, look. Okay, we just, again, like to thank you for your speedy response, and also the workers. They were tremendous.
Yes.
I've had a great response from talking to them, and I'm hoping that once the final project is completed, we'll have you back to the Legion for a bit of refreshment. So sometime in the spring, when we have all things in place, it'd be awesome. So thank you very much.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Here's your certificate.
And certainly for the mayor and the council, because you all backed us 100%, which I was actually very surprised. I appreciate it immensely. And to have everything happen so fast.
Yes,
we just loved it. I mean, people on Remember State were walking past that and looking at it and saying, wow, this is fantastic. You know, the town has done something really wonderful for the Legion. We greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. As you notice on the certificate, it's dated November 11th.
Yes.
Can I get one of all four?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Without Chris full of water.
Okay.
And one final one.
Here, Chris, I'll take it. Yes.
I have a third one, and it's to recognize the town of Smith Falls Police Services and recognition of service rendered for Smith Falls Legion Branch. That's why I thank you for all your support. I'd call upon Jody, our chief. Yes. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's our pleasure, my pleasure.
Yes.
I'll get to the other side. One on each side.
Squish you in the middle.
You can squish in.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manuel, Mr. Irving, for joining us tonight. Next, we've got Partners for Climate Protection emission reductions targets with Mr. Grant.
Thank you.
I had a little presentation put together to make it a little bit easier and quicker. I don't know if Nathan's going to be on.
He did log in, but that was
Hours ago.
close to 3 hours ago.
Yeah, okay.
That's great.
Still here.
Is he there?
He's there. You can hear us, Nathan?
Yeah, I can. I'm still here.
Oh, thank
Perfect.
God. Yeah, I was worried about that. Okay, let's get into it really quickly. So, can I have a clicker?
We don't have one. You'll just have to tell me when. That won't reach out.
Okay.
Just tell me.
When? So I'm coming forward as staff requesting reduction targets of a 20% reduction by 2021 from baseline, by 2031 by baseline, and 45% reduction by 2031 from baseline, and net zero by 2050. So as part of this process, earlier this year, we engaged with Greenscale as consultants to do some preliminary work on our baseline emissions data that was done in core milestone 1. And so with the baseline data update and with the assessment of proposed targets, proposed actions, we came up with proposed climate action targets. So with the feasibility analysis completed by Greenscale, we had the committee, the Climate Protection Working Committee, pass a resolution in favor of the proposed targets. If we are approved tonight or whenever, the next step would be to work on the draft climate action plan as a conclusion for milestone 3. So before I move to the next slide, what I'm really saying is that to complete milestone 2, the core objective is for council to pass a resolution on the proposed emission reduction targets. So that's the objective tonight. So here we're going to go really quickly over the community emission profile. The largest sectors would be the on-road transportation as well as stationary energy. For 2021, overall, we produced 887,642 CO2 emissions in 2021. For the wastewater values, the largest value would be seen in the corporate side because we own those facilities and that's why we're tracking that. So if you're wondering why the value is so small, that's because it represents, I guess, the use overall. But in terms of the facilities and the buildings, that's captured in the corporate sector. Next. So here we have the business as usual forecast projections that start from 2021 as baseline and it goes forward into 2050. So we see a 1.7 increase in 2031, and in 2036 we see a 3.7 increase. Essentially, over time, our emissions will increase. That's not surprising. So looking at in terms of our target reduction, our goal is that in 2031, we're looking at 74,160 CO2 emissions, which is roughly 20%. And for 2036, 45% reduction. And for the community, that's roughly 48,000 in CO2 emissions. Moving on. So for the corporate emissions, similar to the community, we see that the wastewater facility is the largest just because of the fact that we own these facilities and it kind of has a larger surface area than just Smith Falls proper. In 2021, we have a baseline of 1738 in terms of overall CO2 emissions, and the largest sectors would be the municipal buildings as well as wastewater. So in terms of the emissions, in terms of the BAU projections, we're looking at an increase of roughly 2% in 2031, and in 2036, roughly 35%. In terms of overall reductions, roughly 1440 in 2031 and 990 in 2036. We're looking at 20% and 40% reductions overall. So in terms of closing the gap, I'm just trying to illustrate just what it would take for us to really get to our reduction target based on baseline for both the community and the corporate sector. It would be roughly 31,000 for reduction by 2031 in the community sector and 48 by 2036. So essentially the gap between where we are and where we are going is rather large and require a lot of initiatives to get us to our reduction targets on track. Come on, please. So in terms of closing the gap, looking at the community sector, what we realized in terms of the proposed climate actions, one of the biggest sectors would be transportation and energy retrofitting for building, as well as waste reduction. But in terms of what having the biggest impact, transportation would have the largest, based on the fact that we're looking at reducing emissions through either electrifying the fleet or exploring alternative options for transportation. Obviously, in terms of the scale of all of these things, the staging, we won't be looking at exploring all these items all at once. There'd be a process of figuring out what actions would be feasible within the year and sort of making a plan forward. So at this point, in terms of reduction targets, we're looking at ambitious targets, and it requires more of a community involvement for them to be seen as significant reductions over time. So looking at the community sector is a similar thing, fleet electrification and building retrofits, and also waste and utility efficiency. And I'm also aware that we did have a building retrofit done in 2017 by the Honeywell audit, so just keep that in mind. Moving on. And so in terms of takeaway, we have a lot in terms of the gap to reduce by 2031. So essentially 2031 would be the first time that we were rather assessing our reductions based on 2021 as a baseline. And in terms of the adopted targets, they're not necessarily co-signing any sort of proposed actions that the Climate Action Plan is proposing. It's just sort of assessing essentially the potential reductions if we were to adopt certain targets and certain action items. That's all I have.
Councilor McKenna? Sorry, Councilor Ross.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Council knows that I try to chair this committee, and we've been working at this for over 2 years, 3 years. And this is a significant milestone. These are very, I won't kid you, these are very ambitious targets. What we didn't do was come up with a plan now, and that's our goal for the next couple of years. What do we have to change? What do we have to do more of or less of to achieve those targets? The largest emissions come from our community, which we don't formally have any, very few levers over telling the residents of Smith Falls what they can do to reduce their carbon footprint. But we have to find ways and means of doing that. Internally, the corporation, and that's the town of Smith Falls when Richard refers to corporate targets, those are we are the corporation. We have a lot more, obviously we have a lot more say in that. We don't know the costs of doing these. And as we come up with plans, they will be costed. They'll be, I'm just giving you a heads up. Richard, Marie, and Carl have done an excellent job supporting the committee and getting us to this point. And we may have a few more months or another year of kind of in-house resources to get us to the next level. But at some point, Lanark County and other communities have actually hired somebody to be their coordinator of this kind of a project. It's that kind of a scale. We aren't there yet, but I'm just putting council on notice that this does require investments. It requires using all of and some of these investments we're already making, those comments that the mayor brought up earlier. We're buying a lawnmower, can it be green? If we're putting new windows in the library, let's get credit for it. Because we're going to spend this money if we know the impact of doing those investments. And then it will also require new investment. And there are grants available. We're doing this in partnership with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. We're kind of sanctioned under the umbrella, and we're following that process, which leaves us eligible for grant money going forward. So all that to say is our staff have done an excellent job of carrying me and supporting me and the committee throughout the last couple of years. This is not going to be easy. It won't come cheap, but we know what's at stake, or I hope we do. Everything's at stake. If by 2050 we are not making any progress, not just in our little town, and some people might say, why are we doing this? The big emitters are out there. We have to do our part. And so I'm excited about this. We have a great resolution brought forward from the committee that will come up tonight. And if you're not ready tonight, we'll happy to take a little bit more time, but we're ready to go, the committee, and they've done a terrific job. Those are just my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. First of all, thanks for the presentation, Richard. I want to acknowledge the importance of addressing climate change. We all recognize it's real and it's a pressing issue. However, the proposed emission reduction targets are presented strictly as percentages without any corresponding analysis of financial implications, and you did mention that. For me, It's essential that we understand the budgetary impacts before committing to long-term targets. Without clear cost projections or a sense of what these goals will require from our taxpayers and our municipal resources, it's hard to make a decision. So anyway, finally, I want to make it clear, I'm not opposed to setting meaningful climate objectives, but I also believe that our decisions must include both environmental responsibility and fiscal accountability. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, thank you. And I've had, I guess, the pleasure of serving on the Climate Protection Working Group for the last over 3 years now, I guess. Over 3 years. And it has been a considerable amount of work. We've had a very passionate group of people helping lead the way. Great staff resources, which leads us to where we are today. And I think there's widespread acknowledgement and understanding. The science isn't wrong. We know that we are facing a crisis. And I also recognize that we're a very, very microscopic piece of the solution, but either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. I believe we need to be part of the solution. The targets are ambitious. I acknowledge that. But Canada's committed to the Paris Agreement, as have virtually every country in the world. So we have obligations to meet. We know that federally, provincially is where most of the responsibility will land and where the grant opportunities, funding opportunities will come from. And I can't say we're going into this blindly, because I think we put a lot of thought and consideration into this. But at the same standpoint, we know that we don't have all the answers today. We can't have all the answers today. And we know that technology is going to emerge, funding opportunities are going to emerge, and things are going to change that will enable us to hit the targets that we need to hit. But we have to set goals. And sometimes we have to set goals which seem completely unrealistic if we're going to strive to do the things we need to do to get there. So I'm supportive of the resolution. I said I was at committee, and there was a lot of debate to get us where we are today. In the end, we can control our corporate emissions, and we can control what we do with regards to replacement of our fleet, the replacement of heating systems in buildings, how we improve the envelope of buildings to reduce our energy consumption. So we have a lot of control over the corporate emissions. Community-wise, I think we're regarded as leaders. So if we don't take necessary steps, it's less likely our community will take necessary steps. And while we believe this is challenging, it is also realistic and quite possible. It's just a matter of how we get there and the funding sources it takes to get there. And we're not binding future councils. This is an objective we were putting in place. In 2019, we committed to being part of the Partners for Climate Protection, but it gives us a framework to work with, goals to strive for, and an opportunity to make a difference in our children and grandchildren's future.
Councillor Miller?
And all I can say to that is to add my support. Thank you, Richard, for your work, and to the committee. And I'm not afraid of a lofty goal, and I look forward to the next steps on how we're going to get there. Thank you.
Councillor Quinn?
Thank you. Richard, you did a lot of work. This is amazing. It really is. And it's a big, big project. And it's going to be an expensive project. You know what? If you take little steps and you start to train or educate the people of our town how they can do little things at a time that improve everything. And that's where I give the Real Deal great support, because they do that. They've taught people how to compost. They've taught people how to have a nice little garden, So just look at it in little steps, and those little steps can take you very far. They really can. So thank you for bringing all this forward for us. Really appreciate this information. And it is a huge project. It is. But thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Councillor Brennan?
Yeah, what a lot of work. 2 years on the committee's going, this is the result. And I'm happy to support the resolution. And, I agree with you. It doesn't bind councils, but it provides a framework for councils. So we're making decisions on the fleet, on hopefully the furnace at the Heritage House. We have that in mind. So happy to support the resolution, and I want to salute staff and the committee members for 2 years of work to get to this point.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. It's a good read, and it's important, I think, step forward for the community. And I think the first decision we might make is the new roof on the building next door. So I hope that we have the same enthusiasm when time comes for that one, because I'm sure there'll be a cost implication, as Councillor Robinson suggests. But I don't see any more questions, comments. So thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Richard.
Okay, thank you. All right. You'll see me again.
So next we've got updating the street toll policy. So
Thank you. This is more of a housekeeping item to update our current street toll policy. As some councillors may recall, this was done, I think, back in 2018, looking to update it to remove CNIB, who no longer do street tolls, as well as the Club for Youth, who unfortunately no longer exist in town. Looking to change it to keep those 2 spots open, but on an application basis. Looking to remove it, having to come to the council table every time and delegating that authority to staff, and also looking for approval for a application that was received from the Food Hub to host a street toll for 2026 in April.
Councillor McKenna.
I'm supportive of and I like the idea of rotating those 2 slots, and the Food Hub would be just one of those in the future. So I thought it was a positive update.
Thank you.
Great, good housekeeping. That's seeing thumbs up. So we'll put that to council. And then we've got Heritage House Museum Advisory Board appointment.
Very quickly, looking to appoint Chantal Seguin to the Heritage House Museum Advisory Board. She sent in her application. It has been vetted through the appropriate staff, and with council's concurrence would like to pass a resolution so that she may be active on that committee.
As long as she stays on the Arts Advisory Committee board. Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, Chantal was at a meeting last week, and she's going to be fantastic. And I'm glad we got her on the Heritage House Committee, and she's got a lovely dog she brought with her, Cedar.
So seeing thumbs up, we'll bring that to council. We've got an in-camera session, so we'll take a motion moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Quinn, that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls, as provided in Section 239(2)(e) of the Municipal Act as amended, move into a closed meeting at 8:01 p.m. to discuss a proposed acquisition disposition of land. All in favor? That's carried. right, the rise in report is that council gave staff direction, and we will now go to committee, board, and external organization updates. Seeing none, no other items on the agenda, so we'll take a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Miller, that the committee adjourn its proceedings at 8:22 p.m. and stands so adjourned until the next duly called meeting. All in favor? So that's carried, and we'll take a quick break before our council meeting.
Okay, quick is the correct word. Councillor Brennan, your seconder for the agenda?
Robinson.
Chris, your seconder for minutes? Good evening, welcome back to this meeting of Smith Falls Town Council for Monday, December 1st, 2025. On December 1st, 2025, we acknowledge the sacred land in which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We're grateful to Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We're mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength for a mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, be mindful of generations to come. Call the meeting to order at 8:25 p.m. Motion for approval of the agenda is with Councillor Brennan.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that December 1st, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that the December 1st, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be approved and circulated. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest in general nature thereof. Seeing none. Approval of the minutes. Councillor McGuire, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that the minutes of the November 3rd, 2025 council meeting be approved and circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor McKenna. The minutes of the November 3rd, 2025 council meeting be approved by circulated. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Reports. Councillor Miller.
Just a quick report on the holiday shopping program for the Downtown Business Association. It's ongoing now. I'm holding up this card because you can pick it up in a number of participating stores. And for every $10 you spend, you get a stamp, and then you enter it into a draw. And it's just a way to encourage everybody to shop local this holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I've got a couple of announcements, just a couple of brief reports myself, I guess, and an announcement. Just updates, Celebration of Lights last Saturday night. Just want to thank town staff, both Jeff Murphy and community services staff, for getting all the lights in the park and the town square, and things are looking good to kick off the holiday season. Thanks to all members of council who were able to participate in the Salvation Army Kettle on Saturday, the Mayor's Challenge. We'll see what those numbers are, but what's most important, of course, is the amount of money coming in and supporting the Salvation Army, doing all the work, the great work they do this time of the year. Of course, the holiday train was through on Friday night. Fabulous turnout, unbelievable turnout. I'm guessing 4,000 people maybe. It was just packed. People come from far and wide. Great entertainment, $7,000 donation to our food bank, very well received. So just thanks to CPKC, but also a real gratitude to the town, because Public Works, police, fire all step up to help, well, I guess crowd controls, navigate traffic, put up barricades, and of course our fire service being there to collect non-perishable food items for the food bank. So real big collective effort. It's only here for about half an hour, but it's a lot of preparation, a lot of takedown. Very well received by the community. As you may know, we've had our food security working group as part of Smith Falls Equity for All, as well as the Ukrainian twinning working group. And we've met in the last little while, looking into all the updates, but one, we put out a call to the community asking who would like to be involved in sending Christmas cards to Ukraine. Of course, we signed some ourselves here last week. All told, there was 590 Christmas cards that came in. The box, I actually delivered it myself in Ottawa. It was over 7 kilograms. And 523 of those were done by school kids. So going to be very well received at the other end. I received a email message back from Mayor Rinkev, and we want to make sure at least everyone in hospital would receive one. And there's 2 hospitals there, totaling just under 300 patients. Many of those, of course, are soldiers recovering from war wounds and injuries they've sustained. So a great support from the community, especially from the students, to try and send some Christmas cheer across the world to Ukraine. So thank you for everyone who participated. I'll leave it. That's it for tonight. I do have a couple of proclamations as well. The first one is December 3rd, the proclamation, International Day of People with Disabilities, fostering disability inclusive societies for advancing social progress. Whereas on International Day of Persons with Disabilities, we recognize and celebrate the equal rights and dignity of persons with disabilities everywhere, and reaffirm our commitment to building a world where people with disabilities are afforded the opportunities, independence, and respect they deserve. Whereas a day is recognized globally by the United Nations to promote the rights of people with disabilities, raise awareness about disability issues, and draw attention to the benefits of an inclusive and accessible society. Whereas the Town of Smith Falls recognizes the trauma persons with disabilities are experiencing, as well as their resilience and the valuable contributions they are making to remove barriers and advance accessibility and inclusion. Whereas the Council of the Corporation of Town of Smith Falls has committed to creating and maintaining an accessible and inclusive community and upholding the principles of the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, AODA. Whereas we reaffirm our commitment to identify, prevent, and remove barriers to equitable access and inclusion for persons with disabilities who live, work, and visit the Town of Smith Falls. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Sean Panko, on behalf of the Town of Smith Falls, hereby proclaim December 3rd, 2025 as International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And the second proclamation, National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. It was 36 years ago, on December 6, 1989, a massacre occurred at Canadian University of shook our nation. A young man walked into a École Polytechnique de Montreal, killed 14 women and injured another 10. And whereas established in 1991 by the Parliament of Canada, December 6th was marked as a National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. Whereas on average, every 6 days a woman in Canada is killed by her intimate partner. And this year, thousands of women will face violence in the form of harassment, assault, intimate partner violence, and many other forms of abuse. Whereas ending violence against women can be achieved through constant reminders of our responsibility to treat all members of society with dignity and respect. And whereas we can work towards eliminating violence against women through our individual actions and naming the violence when we witness it and supporting those who are affected, whether it be at home, school, the workplace, or in public places. Now, therefore, I, Sean Panko, Mayor of the Town of Smith Falls, do hereby proclaim December 6, 2025 as National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. Moving forward with our agenda. First piece of business is the consent agenda with Councillor McKenna, please.
Thank you. I move by myself, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Items in consent report 162025 received from the clerk, be received and adopted.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor Robinson, that items in consent report number 16-2025 received from the clerk, be received and adopted. Clerk Costello.
Thank you. We've got one bylaw on the consent agenda this evening, and that is the bylaw for council remuneration. We have a resolution regarding the professional engineering services for 3 standing offer agreements. Andrew McNaughton presented that November 10th. We have pre-budget approval for the Police Services Board for the CAD mapping. We have Save Perth College resolution, and we also have a resolution from the correspondence item regarding the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund.
Thank you. Anyone like to pull any individual item up for further discussion or consideration? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. On to our motions. Councillor Brennan.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Miller, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls appoint the following applicant to the Heritage House Museum Advisory Board appointment for the remainder of the 2022-2026 term of council, or until new appointments are made via resolution. Chantal Seguin.
Further discussion?
Yeah, Chantal is going to be a valued member of the Heritage House Committee, and we welcome her.
Thank you. No further discussion. It's moved by Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Miller. The Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls appoint the following applicant to the Heritage House Museum Advisory Board appointment for the remainder of the 2022-2026 term of council, or until new appointments are made via resolution. Chantal Seguin. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Councillor Quinn.
Thank you. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Robinson, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls permits the Smith Falls Food Hub to host a street toll in April of 2026.
Thank you. Further discussion?
This is allowing them the opportunity to have a street toll so they can raise some money for their organization. And we're very happy to do that.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Quinn, second by Councillor Robinson, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls permit the Smith Falls Food Hub to host a street toll in April 2026. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Councillor McKenna.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor McGuire, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls adopt the proposed emission reduction targets, 20% emission reduction from the 2021 baseline year by 2031, 45% reduction by 2036, and a net zero emissions by 2050.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Council in Committee of the Whole reviewed the report as presented by staff. The Climate Action Work Group of the Town of Smith Falls has been working for over 2 years on this. We're following the Federation of Canadian Municipalities guidelines on developing these plans. And what we've done, this is stage 2 of, I believe, 4 steps. And this is setting the targets. What will happen next is the corporation will now, with these targets set in place, figure out a strategy to meet those targets, cost those, and I'm not shying away from saying they're ambitious, and we're encouraging the residents and businesses of Smith Falls who aren't already doing so to take up these goals and set some targets for your home and your businesses. And the corporation will do its very best to meet these targets for future generations, for the life of the planet, for all of the reasons which those of us who believe in science are getting behind this.
Thank you. Any further comments? Moved by Councillor McKenna, second by Councillor McGuire. The Council of Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls adopt the proposed emission reduction targets, 20% emission reduction by 2021 baseline year by 2031, a 45% reduction by 2036, and a net zero emissions by 2050. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, on to our bylaws. Councillor Quinn.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw adopting a temporary road closure and street toll policy for the town of Smith Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Quinn, second by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw adopting temporary road closure and street toll policy for the town of Smith Falls be received for the first time and taken for the second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, Councillor Quinn?
This is a policy that we put into place so that we know when there are going to be street closures for this particular reason.
Any further discussion? Third reading, please. It's on the same page.
It's all right. That a bylaw adopting a temporary road closure and street toll policy for the town of Smith Falls be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10655-2025.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Quinn, second by Councillor Brennan. That a bylaw adopting a temporary road closure and street toll policy for the town of Smith Falls be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10655-2025. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now that's almost it for our business, but we have something very special to do before then. Councillor McKenna.
Oh, okay. There's an entertainment theme to this trivia question. Name the first movie theater in Smith Falls. It should be easy.
Soper.
No.
Rideau.
The Rideau at the corner of Chambers and Beckwith. It was renamed. I won't ask you to name it. 1914. It was renamed a couple of years or decades later. The Capitol Theater.
Okay.
And then in what year did the next theater open? And we know the name of it. The last movie theater in Smith Falls.
1930.
The Soper Theater.
Yes, yes.
Yes, all right.
Year?
It's late.
What year did it open?
1932.
55.
1949.
I was going to say that.
With 964 seats. It was the largest movie theater in Eastern Ontario. Bigger than anything anywhere else. And the most popular movie, a couple of years in 1950, you won't get this either, but I'll tell you what it is. It was called The One That Got Away. It sold out packed for a year. It was the German prisoner of war, jumped out the train in Smith Falls, escaped back to Germany. They made a movie, a motion picture about it, sold out in the town of Smith Falls. Huge movie. The last, interesting. All right, what iconic band played in the Russell Hotel and in what year?
I'm going to say the Police in 1972. No.
Tragically Hip.
No.
It was Rush in 1975. And can you name the beautiful 18-year-old young woman who was in the hotel that night and watched it? Underage, by the way.
Maiden name or married name?
You there?
The beautiful, beautiful intelligent,
wife.
wonderful woman.
Named Donna?
Named Dawn, yes.
Donna.
She was there. That one was hers. I asked for help.
Wow.
And she was there underage. Rush played in 1975.
Wow. Did not know that.
I guess the police played at Barrymore's.
I don't think the police were around in 75, Jay.
Oh, I guess not.
I think they went to the hotel quite often.
Who wants to take trivia next time? You volunteer.
I will.
Okay, Jay, thank you. All right, Councillor Miller, you have the confirmatory bylaw.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McGuire that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting on the 3rd day of November 2025 be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. It's moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor McGuire, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting on the 3rd day of November 2025 be received, read a first time, and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, Councillor Miller.
This is administrative in nature and just cleans up our record keeping.
Third reading, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McGuire that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting on the 3rd day of November 2025 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10656-2025.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor McGuire, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting on the 3rd day of November 2025 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10656-2025. All in favor? Carried. Motion for adjournment is with?
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Brennan, that this council adjourn its proceedings at 8:43 p.m. and stand so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Brennan. This council adjourns proceedings at 8:43 p.m. Stand so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council. All in favor? We're adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good night.